In the 10-season history of the Michelin Le Mans Cup, the series has never visited the UK, and therefore in the next few moments we'll be venturing into new territory with a slightly shortened race, precisely for those reasons actually. Not enough data regarding how far these modern day LMP3s, very new LMP3 cars, can go into today's race. So whereas the Barcelona and the Le Castellet races at the start of the year were 2-hour affairs, this will be 1 hour and 50 with a slightly shorter minimum drive time therefore for everybody as well. But everyone's got to stop once for fuel and do a driver change as well across the 3 different categories for LMP3, LMP3 Pro-Am and GT3. And 41 cars are going to be taking the start of this race around the 3.66 mile or 5.8 kilometre Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. It's race 5, or race 6 strictly speaking, because we did have 2 at the Road to Le Mans event in June. And conditions at the moment are relatively stable, but we've had showers for much of the day, similar to yesterday. So therefore that might have to be weaved into the strategy as well. It's not quite the classic Silverstone shape. It was remodeled a few years ago, but that has generated even more overtaking, arguably, into Village, the Loop and Aintree as well, with its 18 corners and 5.8 kilometres as mentioned. My name's Johnny Palmer. I'm delighted to be joined as always by the editor of dailysportscar.com, Graham Goodwin. And it's been a long day, but a fun day because lots of close racing. And I think this is potentially going to be exciting as well.
I think so, Johnny. The Michelin Le Mans Cup is never boring. And we'll leave that comment hanging just for a moment.
I hear you.
Great to be back at Silverstone. It's been a long time. And as we were saying a little earlier in the day, I'm not quite sure which session it was in. Yes, this is the first time here for the Michelin Le Mans Cup. But in the 6 years we've been missing, we've missed an entire generation of LMP3 cars here at Silverstone. We're into Generation 3. These are the GT3 cars, though. And whilst we're looking here at 4th on the grid for Kessel Racing's Ferrari number 33. Great-looking livery on this car. And this, you should have a great-looking livery had it not had much of the front end wiped off it. In a significant practice accident earlier in the weekend, the number 17, again from Kessel Racing. They make up row 2 with the Ferraris, but row 1 in the GT3s rather is an all Porsche affair, and I'm sure we'll see those cars. There is our pole position car. Cracking stuff from Vanina Ricks, rolling back the years, and great to see Vanina back in the chair. But this is the second place car from EB Motors, the what do we call that, Technicolor livery on EB Motors 911 GT3R, a team that's been finding pace through this season and are clearly enjoying this visit here to Silverstone, as are that couple. Union flag flying proudly, and an absolute squadron of LMP3s, but behind them here is Vanina Ricks in the 83 car, be joined later in the race by Marta Garcia, who'll take to the seat of the 83 Porsche. There are the points in the standings. It's been topsy-turvy season, but the 51A of Corsa car has been the form car of the season. There is the difference in qualifying, and it was a mighty effort for Vanina that secured their first pole position of the season.
And actually, to a certain degree, for Vanina and for her teammate Marta Garcia, the pressure is off a little bit, because obviously, if you've watched the full year of Michelin Le Mans Cup, an awful accident for Marta Garcia around the Barcelona circuit to kick off the season, and they've been trying to recover from that. But, I mean, she raced again at Le Castellet, much to everyone's surprise. Then there was the difficulties at Le Mans, which meant that that car was... I'm going to say not entered, but maybe struggled to get results. Then third place finish at Spa-Francorchamps. So maybe the tail end of the season will see an upturn in their fortunes. We've not had a Porsche on pole all season, actually. Remember that the Road to Le Mans qualifying sessions for the GT3s was basically scrapped because they ran out of time. So many stoppages in those sessions. So we've had a Mercedes on pole, and on 2 separate occasions we've had the same Ferrari on pole, the 17 Kessel Racing car, which is going to be one to watch quite clearly in the race. It's the 51 duo, though, that lead the championship by 8 points.
Yeah, quick look there, by the way, at the 5th place car in LMP3 Pro-Am. New class this season, but it's actually the LMP3 regulations that were before.
We do like a bit of pomp and ceremony here in the UK, and welcoming the Michelin Le Mans Cup for the first time to British soil. That's I think the first time we've paused for a national anthem all season on a Saturday.
Yeah,
we'll have that again.
They're playing our song, Johnny.
They too right they are, and yes, it was eventually made knowledgeable to us that it was going out on the PA. So we thought it was the right thing to do, to pause.
Just to pause. The 44 car here, 4th on the grid in LMP3 Pro-Am. Jacek Zalonka will start this car, and then the 62 alongside on the 2nd row in the class. That includes bronze drivers, LMP3 Pro-Am. Breton Racing. Ben Stone will take to the wheel of the 62 car at the start of this race. And it is an all-leisure affair in the top one. That's 6 cars in the order. We'll move inevitably to the front row of LMP3 Pro-Am as around comes the safety car, just checking track conditions before we get this race underway. 28 car on the front row from 23 Events Racing, new team this season. It was Terence Woodward that qualified the car, and he will start the race on the front row. In fact, looking down the order, I think only one car not starting with their bronze driver, and that is the last car in the order in the hands of Pierre Caffer. But Terence put in a great performance in qualifying. Alongside, though, is the 49 car from High Class Racing. One to watch in this class. Thomas Kiefer was epic in qualifying. And then we've got Gaël Julien, the reigning ELMS LMP3 champion still, and making his comeback into the paddock this weekend, and his debut, I believe, in the Michelin Le Mans Cup.
Yes,
this weekend. So he very smiley indeed he was. So
he suggested to Steph Wentworth. So our first foray into the Michelin Le Mans Cup in this completely changed driver lineup in the 49 car. Previously, we've had Mark Patterson and Anders Fjord back for the rest of the season. But yes, Thomas Kiefer and Gaël Julien. Yeah,
Mark, I believe, suffered a bit of an injury in testing, so I hope you're feeling well and comfortable. And Mark and Anders Fjord back racing in Japan this weekend. So
that's the front row in LMP3 Pro-Am.
But that's not the end of it, Johnny.
No.
It gets better than that.
Because, well, those 2 categories we've already looked at each have a bronze driver in all of the cars. Now, this is a change for 2025 in that another category was added with the same cars, the same spec of LMP3, but you no longer have to have a bronze in the lineup. It's 2 silvers or 1 silver and 1 gold, where the silver has to do the qualifying. But of course, when you've got 2 silvers, you can switch it back and forth a little bit and have different qualifying drivers. And it turned out to be a tremendous effort from Adrian David to take pole position, but he was made to work for it by a young Italian who we will feast our eyes upon a little bit later on. I'm not sure, yes, he's not going to be doing the opening stint. However,
5th and 4th on the grid are the 2 for STA Racing by VPS Ligier. So we've always seen Louis Rosset, Luciano Morano. It is on row 2 in the number 92 car. The 29 car sitting behind, and these beautifully prepared green, multicolour green, or multi-shaded green rather, and black cars. And then ahead is the CLX Motorsport car, the 87 car. Pierre-Alexandre Bravo aboard the 87.
Yes, I am.
In the dulcet tones of Paul Truswell on Circuit Comms. Great to hear Paul here at the circuit, entertaining the pretty sizable crowd here for a changeable Saturday, together with Martin Haven, voice of the WC, and Alan Hyde on pit lane, I believe. Here's the front row, Johnny.
Yeah, freakily, Trusses is about 2 stories above us, you know, but in this building, yeah, he's sort of in the crow's nest. I mean, talk about knowing your place. We're down in the basement, and he gets the best view in the house. It's a BRDC member these days.
Is he?
You know? Yeah, he can go where he likes, he tells me. He's parked outside. Anyway, that's a personal matter. Yeah, Lena Bühler will start on the front row, the 23 events racing number 50 car, but it was the time set by Matteo Quintarelli that put it there, a 1:53.109. And as I was mentioning, the eventual pole winner, Adrian David, doing the 1:53.023 in the 85 RACGP car. And interestingly, it won't be Adrian to start that car, but his teammate. These are the 2 at the top of the championship as well. Hugo Schwarzer in that Duqueine. But good to have at least 2 manufacturers represented in those top 2 positions.
Indeed, and amongst the other manufacturers, because I know there's much interest in the fact that we've got all 4 chassis manufacturers involved in this championship. 14th for the Ginetta, the solo Ginetta in this race. Freddie Tomlinson will start the number 3 DK Engineering car, and the fastest of the 2, a Des chassis. All these, by the way, in LMP3. That is Colin Noble in the number 7 car. He will start the car that I think Tom Fleming qualified earlier today. So RSGP add a further point from qualifying to bolster their championship run. Spitfire above. Could there be anything more British?
I don't think so. And what a great show that the championship at LMEM have put on for this return to Silverstone. And the track, I know, have made the championships feel very welcome as well. Exciting times with the ACO bringing racing to Silverstone, and keep an eye on potential announcements in the future for the next handful of years.
It's, you know, the fact that it has been so well supported, thousands, 20,000 plus tickets sold months ago, and that we've got so many people here today for what's been a mixed weather day, but loads of families here enjoying the entertainment, enjoying the access to the paddock here. Yeah, it certainly turned heads for the powers that be.
30 seconds, board. 30 seconds.
Hardest working man in world motorsport, Gwen Boursier. If you don't think that's true, just watch what happens in the next hour and 50 minutes. He's the race director for the Michelin Le Mans Cup, and a man of extreme patience. If you've got puppies that need training, teenagers that need to be coached, I think Gwen's exactly your man. Welcome to the Michelin Le Mans Cup.
Might take him several months, or indeed a whole year in some respects, but yeah, the in-tray can be a little full.
Start of the first of the 2 formation laps. Try to keep the gaps as close as possible. Start of the first formation lap.
Away we go.
So 2 formation laps, that tends to be the way of things actually. I think we will get that tomorrow for the Goodyear 4 Hours of Silverstone for the European Le Mans Series as well. But because of the conditions have been so mixed.
And in the era of no tyre warmers, which is the major reason why this has been introduced, the 2 formation laps. And with due respect to this event, also gives the fans trackside at least 2 opportunities to see all the cars. Away they go, RSGP 23 events on the front row, Johnny.
Yeah, so Hugo Schwarzer, not the qualifying driver, will start from pole position, and it's Lena Bühler alongside for 23 events racing after a great lap time from Matteo Quintarelli. Then Pierre-Alexandre Provost, who is second in the championship, joined by Luciano Morano for Forestier, racing by VPS. The sister car in that crew is started by Louis Rousset and Sebastian Graulund in the Team Virage car. Then it's Bence Valent for Reiter Engineering, Edgar Pierre alongside for RHGP, the CLX Motorsport car for Cedric Ultramar, joined by Thomas Imborg for CD Sport. On the 6th row, High Class Racing's Philip Lindberg will start the 20 car, Valentino Catalano for Gebhardt Motorsport, then Alex Nose and Freddie Tomlinson for ANS and DKR. 15th position, Colin Noble starting the Nielsen Racing car. He's the gold, remember. Samir Ben with him on the 8th row. Then it is the Breton Racing car of Sasha Lehmann and Brady Golan for Inter-Europol competition number 5. Henry Cubides
Keep the gaps as close as possible. Gaps are forming, don't create gaps. Close the gaps.
So next up, this batch of LMP3 Pro-Ams, headed by Thomas Kiefer, who put in a great qualifying performance for high-class racing. Terence Woodward likewise, really, for 23 events racing. So that's 2 front-row starts for that team. Ben Stone and Jacek Zielonka for Breton and Team Virage.
86, you have until intermediate 2 of lap 2, formation lap 2, to regain your position.
So they are 3rd and 4th. 5th position for Stefan Aust's Rinaldi racing car and Shahan Sarkisian for CD Sport. We've got Julien Lemoine and Romano Ricci for ANS and RHGP, ahead of James Sweetnam for GG Classics and Eric Dodonka, a winner last time out at his home race for Motorsport 98. Mark van der Snel, more Motorsports 99, will start next on the 16th row with Steve Parrow, who is right up there in the championship. Then we've got Christian Gysi and Andrew Ferguson for Racing Spirit Le Mans and P4 Racing. And at the back of the LMP3 Pro-Ams, Pierre Caffer starts the M Racing car. So Gold's in from the start. I wonder whether that was a decision made about the weather with the weather forecast. Whether they're regretting that now, we'll wait and see. Vanina X with a first pole position of the season for the Iron Dames 83 Porsche. The Belgian coming back from recent illness. So that's a great story.
Next lap, exiting T15, all cars in grid formation. No more weaving after turn 14.
She starts alongside a fellow Porsche, this time from Ebby Motors, Fabrizio Broggi, doing the opening stint. It's Lorenzo Innocenti for Kessel Racing in the number 17 car. Next up on the 2nd row, they are 3rd in the championship. Yes, Innocenti with Andrea Biliki, with Kessel Racing's Murat Chuadaroglu to start on the outside of row 2. Josip Maiola for Biogas Motorsport starts 5th in the GTs. Eliseo Dono, who is the quicker of the 2 drivers in car 51, leading the championship with Alessandro Cozzi. There's a 6th place start for that car. And then Valentin Hasclot for Code Racing Development. Now, interestingly, I didn't read the bulletins about this at the time, but the 51 car and the 11 car have ended the session with no times. So they were either had the times taken away from them, or none of them were proven legal through track limits. And because of that, Dono and Hasclot have to start.
Well, that is going to be an interesting start to this race, isn't it? Oh, the minor drama, by the way, on the first formation lap. 86 car had a bit of a moment. RHGP in the hands of Edgar Pierre down at turn 10. And what you heard from Graham Boursier was instruction as to how quickly or how much time he had to regain his position. He will start from 8th in this order. We've got safety car now currently down at turn 9, turn 10. And won't be that much longer before we're ready to go racing.
Do not create gaps. Please keep the gaps as close as possible. Car 98, you are creating gaps. If you can't keep up with the pace, pull to the side.
Rainbow above the BRDC headquarters.
Right, so the 11 Aston Martin failed the ride height check at the end of qualifying, so all times deleted for that reason. And I just wonder whether the 51 car was the same. Just got to find the right bulletin for that, which may be decision number 24. Car 51. 51 was recorded with overboosts between turns 8 and 9 on several laps during qualifying.
T14
stripped of all times.
Exit T15. 2x2 grid formation.
Would add, by the way, it wasn't the 51, it was 17 at the major rebuild, wasn't it?
Reminder, 2x2 on the grid, 2 clear parallel lines through the grid boxes, no overtake, no side movement before the line.
As clear as it possibly can be.
Yes.
Watch this space.
Talk about repeating the message and still feeling
car
like you're not being heard.
Car 33, you are delayed. Please close the gaps.
So, it's interesting that 1 or 2...
Okay, by now, everyone 2x2. 2x2 for the start.
One in LMP3 Pro-Am have chosen to start their quicker drivers. Colin Noble in the 7 Nielsen Racing Des, Pierre Caffer in the M Racing 64. As I say, were they expecting more rain or any rain at the start of this race? When
5 car lengths between category maximum.
When they put forward their starting driver. You have to do that hours before we assemble the grid. So the only 1 hour and 50-minute Michelin Le Mans Cup race of the season. And We are coming back here next year, aren't we? So
we are.
There is a chance for that to be the full 2-hour race, I suppose, in 2026. But limited running for this brand new LMP3 car around Silverstone. I'm sure it will make the distance with that one fuel stop, that one driver change. But a first in the 10-year history of this championship is the visit to Silverstone, which gets underway now with the 1 hour and 50 minutes starting to tick by, and it is a good getaway from Hugo Schwarzer, his first action of the day, not being involved in qualifying, but one of the virage cars is very, very wide, which could be Sebastian Grauland. Yes, it was Grauland who's lost time, but thankfully didn't collect anything on the way through. The GT cars are already squabbling, with Vanina Ricks leading the way in the Iron Dames car, but there's a spin and backwards at Maggots and Beckett's for a Duquesne.
I think that's one of the CD Sport cars rejoining the tail of the field.
That could have been a lot worse had the car found the track on the other side of Beckett's, but thankfully the anchors were applied. Speaking of which, down at Stowe, lots of tyre smoke for the second place car of Pierre-Alexandre Provost, who otherwise has got a good getaway. Lights on, even though it's only 4:45 in the afternoon. That's because of quite a lot of cloud cover here at Silverstone. We're racing through until 6:35.
Oh, big twitch there from one of the Writer Engineering cars. Shahan Sarkisian it was in trouble. Baggett's Beckett's, and now the 7, the deaths. Clatters over. Oh dear me, over the curbs. Almost collected, but survives.
Not a nice place for Colin Noble to be sitting, yeah. And Colin Noble giving a helping hand by the sounds of what you said. I missed the key part of that.
Too busy watching, I'm afraid, another part of the screen. Yeah. Didn't see that moment. I think he may just have got it wide and clattered the curb, but it would not surprise me whether or not there was some contact. Start is under review, as it always is. Yellow's removed at turn 10. Everybody's back on track and resets.
Now, down the inside goes the 25 car. This is for not second place anymore, so Bühler's lost positions. Lina Bühler put in for the opening stint, having had a really good start to the year, led from pole position in Barcelona, I remember, in the early stages, but has dropped to 5th place. Yeah, just been overtaken by the 4th place car of Bence Valent.
Yeah, that car up to 4th place, despite that really big twitch, managed to keep it underway. Incident involving cars 17 and 7, and there's trouble here for the 99 More Racing car as well, and the 98, the winner last time out in LMP2 Pro-Am.
Yeah, how quickly
LMP3 Pro-Am.
How quickly fortunes can turn in motor racing. So it's not necessarily beyond the realms of possibility of still getting a good result if we have a couple of interventions along the way. But at the moment, make hay whilst the sun is sort of shining and the track is not wet, as now side by side arriving at Stowe Corner. That was more dicing for Lina Bühler. There is damage on the back of Colin Noble's Ades though, as a result of that spin and contact and spin, we think. He thankfully wasn't contacted the second time, because that sitting on the curb was horrible to watch.
It seems that did involve the number 17 car. That's a CLX car, is it not?
17
No, it's Kessel Racing.
Yes.
It's Kessel Racing. It's an Achenti. 17, of course, is
a GT car.
Yeah.
Well, Colin was at the back of...
No, he wasn't.
He was 15th. He was 15th, but yeah, but not at the back of LMP3 Pro-Am. So quite how they found one another is a mystery. Maybe a few replays will reveal that.
It's not a Pro-Am car. It's an LMP3 car.
That's what I'm saying. So he wasn't at the back of the Pro-Ams. He was back at the Pros.
Puncture, right rear puncture for the Ades, we can tell you. But away we go. There is the resulting damage to the Michelin. But underway, RSGP's Hugo Schwarzer leads away from CLX Motorsports, Pierre-Alexandre Provost, Louis Rousset for Forestier Racing, my apologies. Writer Engineering's Bence Valent.
You had 3 runs at that.
I did. Luciano Morano has the Writer Engineering car between the 2 green and black cars. And then Edgar Pierre, a good start after struggling on the first formation lap for the 86 RSGP car. So both the RSGP cars in that class in the top 6.
So quite a bit of jumbling of the tail end of LMP3 Pro-Am and the GT cars, and that's maybe just, well, there's a few spinners in there that you've talked about, but certainly Alessio Dono making use of the gold going in to start with, the silver going in. Yeah, silver first, and then Alessandro Cozzi next.
From last to first?
Yes.
In a lap?
Indeed. Yeah, but given the choice, they wouldn't have been putting those drivers into the start.
Not a chance.
Because if there is a safety car around about the time that the pit stop needs to be made, that's just horrible, because with the greatest of respect to the bronzes, they're not going to be able to then take the fights to the silvers and the golds that will be going in the majority of the other GT3 cars.
Yeah, I don't think, I'm just picking up a contact from Jeff Carter in the media room, I think he saw what I thought I saw, which was, it was Colin Noble out of place on track and bouncing over the curbs that caused the spin. So I don't understand what the issue was, unless it was a rejoin issue with Colin getting hooked up with one of the GTs.
Okay. Well, we'll be treated to a replay or two, I'm sure, of the incident in due course. Hugo Schwarzer building a bit of a lead now for RHGP, 1.4 seconds clear of Pierre-Alexandre Provost, and here he is, the Schwarzer car, qualified earlier by Adrian David, and the two of them are taking this championship by storm with an extra point for qualifying. So that'll put them to 65 points and therefore a lead of 18 going into the final two races. Back across the line, Schwarzer, Provost, Louis Rousset for Forestier Racing by VPS. Then a gap back to Bence Valent, who's actually recovered very nicely from the tricky first lap.
Yes, he has. Not only recovered, he's made up positions, leading and with a bit of leading the bronze drivers in GT3. Vanina Ricks gapping Fabrizio Broggi by just about a second in the early running of this race. The two pro drivers, Alessio Dono and Valentino Hazaclo, are away and clear with LMP3 cars between them and the bronze drivers in the GT3, which is what they've got to do. Yes.
Well, I mean, you made a bit of a slip there, but you've drawn attention to the fact that the GT3s in this opening phase are now two-tiered. You've got the pros having their own race, but really we should focus on how Ix and Broggi and Chuadoroglu are doing.
Well, any safety car and the advantage that the two leading cars have got is absolutely in ashes, and history teaches us that very often the Michelin Le Mans Cup does trouble the safety car. But for the moment, it's exactly what they would have hoped would have happened at this stage of the race. They're away and clear from the bronze drivers. They've put three bronze drivers in LMP3 Pro cars between them and the chasing pack. And the gap between Valentino Hazaclo and Vanina Ricks is, what is that, 5-6 seconds?
So the fighting, the jostling of position is going to be ongoing now. This is actually the leader within LMP3 Pro-Am, Julien Lemoine, catching Brady Golan, who is the last in the big bank of LMP3 cars. So towards the rear of LMP3 is the Inter-Europol competition car, fighting with Henry Cubides. And Cubides marginally ahead now of the green-nosed Inter-Europol competition car. Brady Golan, new to this championship. Nolan Siegel racing with him.
Yep, current IndyCar racer, of course. And good to see Nolan back in a sports car. We have had him in LMP2 previously.
As they go back over the start-finish line into Copse. Schwarzer nursing this just over a second lead onto lap 5 of the Silverstone round of the Michelin Le Mans Cup. Pro-Am led by Julien Lemoine. Not a huge surprise that Lemoine has made his way to the front and ahead of Thomas Kiefer. Remember, Lemoine is another bronze racer and has experience of taking poles through the course of the year. What did I say earlier on in the day? 2 that Lemoine has managed to do. Side by side, and a bit too close there. Is that the 50 car?
And the 97.
Yeah.
This is the battle for 8th place, and it's going to stay with the 50. But the Virage car with that battle now as well.
So it's 23 events. Lena Bula, who started on the front row. Cedric Ultramar in 97 and gets ahead, and now Bula, if she's not careful, will lose another position, not quite to Samir Ben, as you said, in the number 74 car, but in turn Ben's going to be caught and passed by Gebhardt Motorsports' Valentino Catalano.
Looking very quick at this phase of the race in that Duquesne.
Some go for an overtake, that doesn't quite work, and then all of a sudden they're jumped by somebody right behind.
But here comes the Virage car fighting back in that battle, side by side again. This isn't done, and here comes the cavalry in the form of the other delayed Virage car. Who's going to make this count? Perfectly clean at the moment. Will it stay that way? Up the inside this time from the Decane. Gets the optimum line, coming back onto the start-finish straight, and will get the power in. But with the Virage car under the rear wing, will get the tow. What about Copse Corner? Let's wait and see.
Yeah, I was concerned there that Samir Ben had run too deep into Brooklands and might plough into the side of Catalano, but he controlled it well. Likewise down at Copse, Samir Ben wanting to go quicker through the first corner than maybe the red and black car of Gebhardt just ahead. They're going to arrive at Maggots absolutely side by side. This is going to take some sorting out, and there might have been a bit of a concession there from Samir Ben to avoid a big incident.
Cracking little battle, and it's a battle that continues with the second Virage car and the Ginetta in line astern. So this is the battle for 10th place, and it's almost 5 cars deep, because behind Freddie Tomlinson, the D-Car Engineering Ginetta, it's Axel Nyos in the ANS Motorsport number 6 Ligier joining in the fun.
So Growland, after that off-track excursion on the first lap from Copse, where he went so far wide he almost had to pay to get back in, and now he's slowly been recovering from that point on. Only got back up to 12th, but Growland pressurising his teammate Samir Ben.
We'll tell you, by the way, in LMP3 Pro-Am behind, it is still Julien Lemois with Thomas Kiefer. Right behind him, ANS Motorsport from High Class Racing, then Terence Woodward, and then it is the making his way to the front, Pierre Cather, who started from the back of the grid, but of course is the gold driver.
Yeah, and that appears to have been a choice that the team made, because there wasn't an issue with the times that the M Racing car produced. So we got underway at 4:45. Down the inside, a number of cars tried to go, and then Sebastian Growland had a huge moment. He may have found the gravel actually just out of frame there, and has been trying to get those places back ever since. This was also a worrying moment for the CD Sport Duquesne that arrived at Maggots and Beckett's backwards, but thankfully stopped in time before that could have been a far bigger issue. That was likely to be Thomas Imborg, therefore. Then a spin for Colin Noble.
And it was by himself, so whatever's under investigation must have happened on the rejoin.
Yes, which then makes more sense that the 7 car was close to was it the 51 Ferrari?
Yes.
2 off as well on the grass on the opening lap, which you called at the time the 99 more Motorsport car, and the 98 Motorsport 98. So a Benelux collective there, one from the Netherlands, one from Belgium, but sadly a horror start for both, and they are now 13th and 15th respectively in LMP3 Pro-Am, but they're 34th and 36th when you combine everyone.
Jahan Sarkisian, by the way, who was in trouble at Maggots on the opening lap, is recovering his way back up the order. He's picked up 5 places since that incident in class, significantly more when you include the GT cars he's managed to repass. Colin Noble, we saw in trouble over the curbs, has rejoined the race and is plugging away at what is that, a minute and 40-second gap to the next car in the order, so he's sitting last in the order at the moment. Here, though, is our race leader, Hugo Schwarzer, 1.3 seconds to the good over Pierre-Alexandre Provost in the CLX Motorsport car. So it's Duquesne from Ligier, RHGP from CLX Motorsport, Schwarzer from Provost. That's the lead pair. Trouble, though, for the EB Motors car. This was the car that started on the front row, and that's a right rear puncture.
Certainly some damage as well. So whether it has...
Is it just a puncture?
It might be. I feared that there was a bit of bodywork loose, but maybe not. But it'll obviously depend on how hard Fabrizio Broggi is pushing here to get the car back in a hurry, so as not to lose too much time. The key thing is trying to hang on to the lead GT3 lap.
Well, talking quickly about GT3, Alessio Dono is making rapid progress up the order. He's now got, 6 LMP3 Pro-Am cars behind him, 2 of them between him and Valentino Harzeclos in the Chasing Code Racing Development Aston Martin in the lead of GT3. Fernina Rix, meanwhile, is also in LMP3 traffic and has gapped the remaining bronze drivers.
CLX running second, Pierre-Alexandre Prevost, but they'll have to be wary of the slow Ebby Motors Porsche, and Hugo Schwarzer has to duck off the racing line at just the inopportune time because he wants to be using the full width of the circuit through the fast approach to Abbey. That brief second couldn't do, but he controlled it nicely, and likewise really Prevost as well. Let's hope everybody else is able to spot the Ebby Motors Porsche going slowly. There'll be white flags being waved by the marshals to warn of a slow car.
And Roger is a long, long way from home. That's going to be a very slow lap for him. So we're 15 minutes into this hour and 15 minutes long encounter here. The debut of the Michelin Le Mans Cup at Silverstone. This is Eric de Donker and Mark van der Snel making their way back up through the order and dealing with third place in GT for Nina Ricks. And the second Ligier makes its way through without incident, doesn't delay Vanina that much. Meanwhile, the other Porsche, must be so frustrating.
Well, they know they've got the same sort of speed as the Iron Dames Porsche. They showed that in qualifying. So to watch everybody go by at such high speed when you've got to be patient to try and not cause more damage to this car. Is this where it let go into Copse? Not a nice place for a rear tyre to go bang. And was that as a result of some contact or just a bit too much curb hopping, perhaps in the early stages by Fabrizio Broggi? He may well know that he's made an error in that regard. On the other hand, sometimes these things just happen as a freak event.
This is the lead pair, still 1.4 seconds the gap. They are, though, pulling away significantly from Louis Rousset in the third place 29 car. The gap now, second to third, is just a tick under 5 seconds. We've got multiple cars getting 10 seconds added to their pit stop. Car 20, 6, 7, 26, 4, 62. Someone's going to shout bingo in a minute. 71, 84, 58, 99, 10, 83 and 17. So that is going to shake up the order very significantly.
So that's a 10-second addition to the 160 seconds that everyone has to serve anyway, whether you're in LMP3, LMP3 Pro-Am or GT3. Finally, Fabrizio Broggi makes his way onto pit lane. And
so they've lost 2 minutes on that lap with the crawl back, and let's hope there's no further damage at that corner of the car as a result of that. It seemed to me he was coming back at a very sensible pace.
Well, done no damage to the car, which is the crucial thing. You want the wheel arch to be intact, ideally the wheel arch, the inner wheel arch skin as well. But that tyre can very easily start to rub away some crucial bodywork. The last thing you want is it to turning to the canvas and for that to start wrapping itself around bits of suspension and brake caliper, but he avoided that.
So while you're keeping an eye on proceedings, let me just tell you where those cars that have got the penalties are in the running order. The 20 car, that's High Class Racing, the hands of Philip Lindbergh, currently 15th. That will get a 10-second penalty. The 6 is the ANS Motorsport car, currently running in 14th place. 7 is the next to last runner, that is Colin Noble's Ades. 26, I'm trying to find out exactly where that is in the running order. 16th, Breton Racing, Sasha Lehman at the wheel of that car. The number 4 is the other Nielsen Racing Ades, in the hands of Henri Gubidez Olate. 62, that's a Breton Racing car, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought that was running reasonably well. It is 5th in LMP3 Pro in the hands of Ben Stone. 71 is one of the Rinaldi Racing cars, and that is that the championship leading car?
71 is, yes.
That's the 6th place car in LMP2 Pro-Am in the hands of Stefan Aust. 84, 58 is the GG Classics car. That's in 7th. 84. Here's wheel of tyres.
Stowe, maybe.
84 is the current LMP3 Pro-Am leader in S Motorsports, Julien Lemoyne. So that's bad news for them. 99 is the More Motorsports Ligier. 10. Where is that car in the order? That is the 12th place car of Racing Spirit Le Mans, 83 and 17. Those cars getting 10 seconds added. So 83 is the Iron Dames, third in GT, and 17 is the Kessel Racing Ferrari. It's another incident for Eric de Donker, and in the gravel for the 98 car. I'm not sure he's going to be able to drive that one out, Johnny.
Well, that is at Vale, club corner just behind him. So was he helped into that incident, or did he just lose it on the brakes? But yes, the yellow flags, the yellow lights are all displayed now on the approach to this next corner for the race leader. So you've got to be shown not to be overtaking through here, and also not to be really taking a lasting advantage.
Full course yellow is going to be coming. This is not great news for the two fast-starting GT3 cars.
Although it's better than a safety car.
Well, the better news for them is that their nearest contender has got a 10-second penalty.
Yes. So this will be a countdown into an 80km/h speed limit, where everyone has to do, and it's 4 abreast, by the way, on the hanger straight, just as we go into the full course yellow. So this is the point where you're not supposed to be overtaking anybody. You can right up until the full course yellow is initiated. Pretty
certain the Racing Spirit Le Mans car there did, but I think he's ducked back out of it. So that was all very lastmoment.com.
Well, one of the cars, the car on the furthest left as we looked at it, was a rejoining Fabrizio Broggi in his Ebby Motors Porsche, so that wasn't necessarily helping matters. I say that, he can't just evaporate into thin air, but there were 3 abreast prototypes looking to get by, therefore, on a quick part of the track, as Eric de Donker's car stranded in the gravel, and he's certainly not the first to end up in that part of the circuit on an ACO weekend at Silverstone. Many times that has been the beach where you don't necessarily retire, because in this type of motor racing, the marshal's just told to retrieve the car to a safe location, and if Eric can get the car restarted, he will and can carry on. Did he do it all on his own? It certainly looks like he did. Unfortunately, yes, and then needed to be some good reactions from the next car through, which looked a bit like a Forestier Racing, but I don't think it was. The other one of the green and black cars.
No, just watching 2 different colours of dust. Something out that.
Oh yeah,
that came out the air intake.
It did. I'm not entirely sure what that was, but the car briefly going backwards, and presumably the car stalled as well. Or even if it was still running, he will have tried to get it out of the stones, and very quickly those rear wheels and tyres will dug their way in.
Did he suffer some kind of failure is the point I was about to make.
Go off on his own oil almost. Yeah, maybe.
It was a slightly odd incident, but we'll keep an eye on that, see whether or not that car does rejoin.
Well, the giveaway will be if the marshals have to now put some soaking up dust on the track to.
I'd like the phrase soaking up dust.
There is a brand name for it.
We're not supposed to use the brand name.
I know, you can. They call it quick dry, don't they?
Well.
Or cement. It used to be cement dust. I'm not sure they still use that now. Not great for the lungs.
Code Racing Development do take the opportunity to pit. I'm guessing that will see a driver change. So Valentino Hazaclo forced to start this race, but at the first possible opportunity, well, he's still shown as aboard the car.
Away goes Eric de Donker. You've got to do a minimum of 45 minutes driving in this slightly shortened race. Normally the minimum drive time is 50 minutes, 5 minutes shorter than usual, but to my mind, you've got to do that in one slug, because there was this thing in the regulations a few years ago that said when you do make your meaningful pit stop in the Le Mans Cup, you have to take fuel on board, you have to change tyres, you have to change driver, and then only then it's governed as the, or stipulated as the main stop of the race. So,
2 minutes and 43 stop from Valentino Hazaclo.
Okay.
That's a bit odd. But
43. Well, that is the long stop. 2 minutes 40.
But you've got to do. Haven't you got to do your driver change in that?
I thought so, but there is often a bit of a grey area here. So are they now thinking that if you get a long stop out of the way when it's convenient to do so, and then do a driver change later on in a much shorter stop, and that might be good enough. I'm going to check the regulations now to see what it says about the mandatory pit stop. Thing is, he didn't get out, did he? He started the car, Valentin Hansclode.
He's still showing up the wheel of the car.
Yeah, so he is staying there probably until there are 45 minutes available for his co-driver, who is Philip Saga. So as long as Philip is in the car for 45 minutes, you want to be doing the rest of it for a gold driver, just to be as quick as you can be.
So, hour and 25 minutes to go. RSGP's 85 Duquesne still leads the race as it has
We'll be removing full course yellow in 10, 9,
go back
8,
to green flag
7,
racing.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow has been removed.
Away
yellow is under review.
We go, and yes, the full course yellow is now under review.
This is race leader looking to deal with a 4th place car in GT3. And does so with aplomb. Still the 2nd Kessel car to deal with, the 33 car. Car sitting 3rd at the moment in GT3. So just Vanina Ricks, and then much further up the road, Alicia Dono.
Of course, the thinking behind the Code Racing Development car and team doing their stop is that they've done it under full course yellow, so it is less harming to their race pace compared to doing it to green flag running. But there isn't a rule in the Michelin Le Mans Cup that closes the pit lane in a full course yellow, as there is, for instance, in the European Le Mans Series. So there isn't a problem as far as that's concerned, but I just think we've been here before. Now, though, off the road is the number 6 from LMP3, which is the ANS Motorsport car for Axel Nose.
That car was running in 14th, now dropping rapidly down the order. That was clipping the curb. Too much power in as the car was unstable. Around it goes. That's one of the cars that has also got a 10-second penalty to come, so not looking like a great day at the moment for the number 6 crew. Is 87 in 2nd place. Closer than they've been.
Oh,
that's a big one.
Off. Ebby Motors Porsche is one of them, and
so that's a Breton Racing car.
Breton Racing LMP3.
What's happened here?
They've found one another. On the inside is the championship leader in LMP2 Pro-Am. And the Porsche goes to turn in. The Breton car was wary of the 71. The big hit comes later for the Porsche as it collides heavily with the concrete barrier at Abbey. And we have gone safety car, with clearly marshals needing to get to that scene as quickly as possible.
It was just a confusion of just who was where. I have to say, I think that one was on the Porsche. But you're right, the much bigger impact was with the barrier by the EP Motors car. So from full course yellow into a safety car, hour and 22 minutes to go, and 2 cars in real trouble, and looks to be by far the biggest trouble for Fabrizio Broggi in the 95 car.
Again, from a strategic point of view, obviously the major concern is to check on the drivers involved, but strategically a lot of the teams will be thinking, we'd love to be able to pit at this stage, but none of the drivers have done 45 minutes yet. So even though the pit lane is not closed under a safety car in this championship, it's not really going to do you that many favours.
Driver out from the Breton Racing car, and Fabrizio Broggi is climbing out of the EP Motors car.
Yeah, the difficulty is that not all the doors work on that Porsche now, which is difficult just to get to the drop, but they're both willing to jump over the concrete wall, so clearly feel okay at this stage. I'm sure they'll be taken to the medical centre for checks. Bits of Porsche have found their way on top of that concrete wall as well.
So as the Breton Racing car first made contact with the car on the inside, and that sort of cannoned it into the EB Motors car. So Broggi feeling hard done by there.
Too right, and you know, he's had the puncture to deal with first of all, then thinks, well, I'm keen for a bit more, having
he was well out of the way.
Yes, yeah, indeed. Nursed the car back, remember, on that lap where the rear tyre had gone bang. Done a really good job to preserve the car, and now he's standing on top of that wall just looking at an absolute mess. But thankfully Fabrizio has walked away from the incident and is just now gathering his breath. As I say, they'll get a rescue unit to that scene to take both drivers back to the medical centre. But so we reckon that was Ben Stone in the 62 Breton Racing car. Certainly that's the lowest placed Breton car, the LMP3 Pro-Am entry. And Stefan Aust was the car trying to get through at Abbey. So initially there was a change of direction from Ben Stone's car in avoidance of Stefan Aust. And I assume they were on the same lap at the time. So it was Aust overtaking Stone, and then Stone not quite turning in as Fabrizio Broggi had expected, and the two making significant contact and the spearing those two cars off towards the scenery. And I think had it just been trips into the gravel, that might have been okay, but the Porsche unfortunately went sideways and hit, it's not concrete, is it? That's wooden barrier, and sort of serving as a retaining wall. But nevertheless, it's done substantial damage to the front of the Abbey Motors Porsche, which is a real shame because that's been very quick all weekend. Ah dear. Well,
I think Ben was trying to keep himself in the fight and out of trouble. I think it was just a bit of a misjudgment. I don't think he was quite aware of where the rear of the car to the inside was, and these things, it's inches, isn't it? But the results are absolutely dramatic, and there's big damage to the Porsche as a result of that. Turned in, tried to get as close to the apex as he possibly could, but there was contact with the Rinaldi car, and that, as I say, cannoned the car under load into the path of the Porsche.
Yeah, and the Porsche, Fabrizio Broggi, just turning in at the usual point at Abbey and thinking that the two prototypes on his inside would do the same. Well, one did, and the other one after contact could not, but that incident naturally will be looked at. Not quite at the 45-minute point. We've got another 15 minutes or so to go, in fact. So may even not be on the safety car when the first drive time amount has been served. But a chance to reflect upon a decent race so far. We've had a bit of incident. That opening lap with cars running wide and one backwards at Maggots and Beckett's, but some of those collisions, you know, you could find anywhere, frankly. It's three cars going into one corner, which is difficult to make work at the best of times.
Yeah, 12 minutes until we've had the 45 minutes minimum driving time for bronze drivers up. But this race, if you've been following the Michelin Le Mans Cup this season, not a 2-hour race, it's a 1 hour and 50-minute race.
Okay, I've found the relevant regulation now, just regarding that Aston Martin and pitting for 2 minutes and 43 seconds under the full course yellow. So, pit stop reference time, general case, and it says the pit stop reference time will be published in the briefing notes.
It's 160 seconds.
160 seconds. The pit stop must comprise the following operations: refueling, tyre change, except in the case of use of wet tyres during the entire length of the race, driver change.
So unless there has been a driver change and they've just not done the driver identifier, it's not their long stop.
Can't be.
I think that's exactly where we've been before with this.
Refueling or driver change operation can be operated only when a pit stop is done under the reference pit stop time. Well, the reference pit stop time is not a problem.
Yeah.
They've done the 2 minutes and 40 or the 160 seconds.
Did they change the driver?
Reference pit stop time will not be considered if a car/driver is stopping in its allocated working area for a purpose of abiding a stop-go penalty. Oh, that's fine. I'm now into regulations that aren't relevant. But the crucial thing is, it's meant to be roughly halfway, or at least when you've got to the end of, in this case, the 45-minute stint, and then it's treated as a full-service pit stop.
Yeah.
I know what they're trying to do.
We've seen
other teams try it.
We've seen strategy thrown at this form of racing numerous times before, and we've also seen those Tiny little slivers of hope in the regulations closed pretty rapidly, but unless Valentina Harziklo is not aboard that car,
yes,
I think the answer is that's not their 160-second pit stop, and they'll have to do it again.
Yes. And is that going to be communicated to them somehow? I mean, it won't be by the officials because the regulations are there for all to read. But my concern is that the next time that Aston Martin comes into pit lane, they'll do a quick stop, a quick driver change, send it, and that won't be their stop.
Yeah, almost a bit of a problem there is everything rather bunched up, but everybody kept things on the straight and narrow. If we had Stefan call back, we could ask whether or not Valentina Harziklo is indeed aboard that car, or whether or not he's standing in the garage waiting to go get aboard the car again, as he must. He's in the car.
Car 11 under investigation, pit stop infringement.
I think that's it.
There we are. Well, as I say, it's worth a go, but we kind of have covered this ground in previous seasons. And that rule has not always been in the regulations, so there was a time when you could do it and you could pit well out of sequence, make use of the cautions. Maybe they're thinking, hey, let's just try anything now because we didn't get any times from qualifying after that ride height failure.
I mean, here's the point. We are at the moment presuming that's what they were trying to do, simply because of the time they were on pit lane, which is suspiciously close to 160 seconds. There may have been a problem we're not aware of.
True, which just happened to be the same time. Yeah, okay, I'll take that as well. Did we cover precisely why that car pitted at the time? It just inexplicably
It was full course yellow, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that's the point at which they would choose to do it.
It wasn't a visible problem on the Aston. The car racing
no, they were running a strong second place at the time.
Okay. There was an idea, maybe within the camp, or there was a genuine need to stop for 2 minutes and 43 seconds. We shall find out. But they are under investigation now. Meantime,
I would say though, why would they be under investigation?
Well, yeah, that was an interesting one as well.
Because
unless that's the race direction crew giving them ample warning that we won't take that as a pit stop, so you are under investigation.
Not normally the style of race control to do that. That if you're going to make your mistake, you make your mistake.
And you've all been given the sporting regulations, which you should have read.
Correct. Yeah,
through the right way and backwards and upside down, and you know, any engineer should know those without needing to check. Actually, the speed of this safety car snake is differing at certain points, so there's a fair bit of congestion now.
It's causing some problems. I'm not quite sure why, because that's about the third time I've seen that snake bunching up, and it would not generally tend to be Pedro Cachero, who is the safety car driver here, that would be the issue. So whether or not we've got a little bit of over-exuberance somewhere in this train, I don't know.
Tomfoolery was the word I was going to choose.
Well, there's lots of words you could use.
True. It's been a long day, and a great one as well.
We don't get waved by, do we?
No.
Now that's going to cause some interesting moments. Where is the 51 in this queue? It's way back. And I'm just trying to find, I think the only other GT car behind the 51 car is Vanina X. I think everybody in the 33 downwards in GT3 has effectively lost a lap.
Okay.
Ouch.
Yes. And that is why we have a thing called a pass around in ELMS and in the World Endurance Championship to try and prevent that. But these are short races anyway. And
I would also tell you, I think, of our 16 LMP3 cars, I think 10 of them are ahead of the leader in the safety car chain.
Okay.
Which means they've effectively lost a lap.
Yes. Safety car is going to come in at the end of this lap.
Apologies, not the 84 is not the leader, it's the 85 is the leader.
Well, 85 is right behind the safety car,
fine. So
which no longer has the lights on.
No, fine, in which case that's fine. We've got the only class that therefore is a problem is GT3. because the 84 is ahead of all the remaining LMP3 Pro-Am cars. The 85 is ahead of all the LMP3 cars. GT3 has been rather thrown into disarray by this.
So, are you suggesting the 51 car's got a massive lead on all the other GT3s now?
With the exception of the 83.
Okay.
The only car behind it in the queue is the 83.
Yeah.
All the others are ahead of it in the queue, and therefore have lost the better part of a lap.
Yeah. Well, Hugo Schwartz is the overall race leader, I can tell you that much, and the tyre temp has dropped a little bit, so these next few corners could be tricky. We're 5 minutes away from a drive time being completed, as Schwartz leads Pierre-Alexandre Provost in his CLX Motorsport car. It's RHGP out front though, and Forestier Racing running third and fifth. Louis Rousset, Luciano Morano with Bence Valent, the meat in the sandwich.
Yeah, indeed, and the Forestier Racing car of Louis Rousset is all over the back of the second place car now. They've been given a second lease of life by that safety car. Also critical time here for the 51 car of course, taking a big advantage there in that safety car period, and they'll be on it in this phase to see whether or not they can put the other cars in this class a lap down, because that will give them a huge advantage.
Particularly considering, not through their own choice, but they had to put Alessio Dono into the car first of all. That's what the regulations stipulate if you haven't managed to get any times from qualifying. Remember, it was over boosting for the 51 Ferrari, which wiped all the times from earlier in the day.
Trouble at turn 7, by the way. I think may involve
two cars.
It's 44 and the 88.
So 44 is the Team Virage car of Jacek Zielonka. Did they just collide?
They did.
Yes. Aston Martin going around the outside.
It was the secondary contact between the cars.
So the initial contact with 88 and another car, the other car got away, and it was as the 88 was spinning that then Jacek Zielonka had nowhere to go. 88's driven by Romano Ricci.
I saw it as double impact between the same two cars.
Oh, was it the same car?
I think so.
Okay.
I think that's why the 44 checked up.
Yes.
So the thing to watch in GT is the progress of the 51 car through this chain, and that's going to be helped by just how heavy the LMP3 and LMP3 Pro-Am traffic is. So watching where they are in the overall order, 51 is making progress and is right with the 23 car now.
Going back to that incident at Stowe, it is those two cars that is listed in the investigation review. So Zielonka and Ricci.
88 has gone no further, 44 has got damage.
And goes straight on at Vale through the gravel track where Eric de Donker ended up, backwards in the Motorsport 98 car.
88 is underway, yeah, there's pretty serious damage to the front right corner of that car, isn't there? Headlamp pointing to the floor. And
20 car is in and already doing a driver change.
Is it still 45 minutes in a 1 hour 50 race?
No, it is a 45-minute driver time because this is an hour and 50 minutes. It's normally 55.0 minutes.
It's 43 minutes in.
Yeah. Let me just check again, but I have checked that document several times this weekend to be sure.
So pretty serious damage, by the way, to the front of the 44 car. The front right wheel not turning, and with significant damage to that corner. The 88 car is underway, but slowly. Keeping watching the progress of this 51 car, and for that matter the 83. Still leads the race, but it's more to do with the position. In comes the 44. More to do with the position of the 51 against the train of cars ahead of it.
Right, so the Michelin Le Mans Cup did, oh yes, still just about moving on. It's going to bring a load of gravel though onto the track now, Romano Ricci. He's a popular guy around the paddock, got lots of friends, but he may not win too many fans in doing that. There was a sporting regulation clarification from the championship on the 9th of September this year, so only, what, 4 days ago?
Well, while you're just working your way through that, I can tell you that the Aston Martin has got 20 seconds added to its next pit stop for whatever was deemed to be the pit stop infringement.
minimum driving time per driver during a race is 50 minutes for 2 hours, 45 minutes for 1 hour 50, which is what we have today. And it's, again, in bright yellow, highlighted
pretty
in
certain
yellow.
that the time on pit lane does not count.
Correct. So it is from green flag or from red lights going out until you enter the pit lane. Side-to-side contact. It was the 10 that I was trying to identify in another incident a long time ago. Oh, that was the car that was right behind Eric de Doncker when he had his spin. So car 10 is Racing Spirit of Le Mans for Christian Gysi, side-to-side with Vanina Ricks, actually racing for position there on the same lap. So now you've done your drive time at 45 minutes and change. So you can enter pit lane, but not this pit lane, which is the wing. Not using that one this weekend. There's the number 7 car of Colin Noble, still trying to recover.
If the tracker is correct that I'm looking at here, in comes the 88 car with that damage. I think the 51 has lapped everybody up to 3rd in GT3. I think he's away and clear of this group here.
Yeah.
That's going to make it very difficult to see if they have a clean race from here on in, anybody but the 51.
Well, Sector 3 is very, very busy indeed. That's where all the cars are, having been released recently from behind the safety car. It looks like both tyres are down on the 88 car, the right-hand side.
See, it was the same from Steph as the car passed her.
And the 44 car, Steph reporting, is also out of the race. Well, both heavily involved in the incident. It was a small clash initially, but then as one car spun, Zielonka had nowhere to go, and that's resulted in far bigger damage for both Team Virage and RHGP's Pro-Am cars.
We now are into the window where driver changes can happen. The first taker is High Class Racing Thomas Kiefer. So about to see Gail Julien enter stage right. Remember, Gail, the reigning ELMS LMP3 champion. And our M Sports, Nick Adcock and Michael Jensen.
So a real flurry of cars, predominantly from Pro-Am, and that makes sense really, to get the bronzes out as early as you can and get theoretically quicker drivers in. Although, well, we've got Felipe Fernandez Lars still to come in the number 71 Rinaldi Racing car. Pierre Caffer started the race, so he will have to switch over to Michael Doppelmayr.
The Aston Martin is showing Philip Sager aboard that car now. So I wonder whether or not the penalty is for not changing the driver identifier.
Okay.
I think that's what they've got the penalty for.
Okay.
So they did complete the driver change, but they didn't change the driver identifier, and that's going to cost them 20 seconds. Plus, obviously, they've got to stop again to put Valentina Haseklo back in the car.
Yeah. So they were under investigate, or they were... was the message officially?
It was pit stop infringement.
Yeah, okay. So when you do a driver change, when you physically do a driver change, the driver identity has to change with it, at least within the following lap.
Yeah.
It took a long, long time. We were very puzzled by it.
Leader in the pits, Hugo Schwarzer, has led from the start of this race. He pits now, as does the 97 CLX Motorsport car of Cedric Ultramar. The other CLX car in LMP3, the 87, takes the lead for the first time. Pierre-Alexandre Provost from Louis Rousset in the 29 Forestier Racing car. Those two cars 2 seconds apart. RSGP go to work with the 88 car ahead with that heavy damage on the right-hand side. So we'll just take a bit of time for them to have to negotiate that car in pit lane, but it's a long pit stop. That shouldn't be an issue. Of course, meanwhile, Alessio Dono carries on, and he cycles through to 17th place overall.
So any time from now to, well, a slightly shorter segment to the end of the race, but you've basically got 15 minutes or so to play with to make sure that your pit stop is completed, your new driver is in, and they are back into the race, because any time spent in pit road is not counted to your driver time. Even if you're pitting and your drive time's not being completed. So, for instance, those stops that were happening earlier on because of punctures, that time's not counted to your driver time total either, even if you retain the driver going into the next segment of the race. Away goes the Porsche in the hands of Marta Garcia. So Vanina Ricks out after an entertaining stint for her. She was certainly getting stuck in at times. GT3 leader remains Eliseo Dono. They'll be keeping Dono in for as long as they dare before handing over to Alexandra Cozzi.
Keeping an eye on pit stop times. Everybody in the window at the moment. It was a longer stop than it needed to be for the Iron Dames. 12 seconds over the 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Oh, no, it wasn't, because they had a 10-second penalty. So we're going to see that come into fruition, and we'll check whether or not everybody's managed to serve those penalties, because that's another area where there could be a stumble.
Yeah, so we're going to see a lot of
250s.
250s, or in the case of some, 255s, being very conservative on the approach. That a pass for the 74 car, Team Virage's Samir Ben on Axel Nose. Puts him into 9th position. Both cars have been in strife at certain points.
Under an hour to go now in this race.
And Marta Garcia, as she rejoins, totally kicks off right in front of her. That's the Ferguson car, is it not? The 27, which is P4 racing car. So Andrew Ferguson was in it. Lewis Hamilton-Smith takes over. Lewis Hamilton-Smith, yes, in the P4 on an out lap, actually. So new tyres perhaps might have had an influence there.
Now we've got the 5th place car, the what was the 2nd place running car for RSGP, the 86 car under investigation, full course yellow. So Graham Boursier and his team sweep into action again. Is that?
There's been an incident at turn 1. Now that looks like possibly
the other Breton racing car, the 26.
What I couldn't tell was whether there was any damage on the front of that car from that sort of distance, but it was parked up in pit lane exit road, or just slightly beyond that. Here's the 51 Ferrari.
Is the 26.
Yeah, so you're right with Breton, and no, it just is just slowing coming out of the pit. So that again
it's a wheel. It's a wheel, I think. I think there may be a loose wheel on that car.
Again, a car in difficulty on an out lap, though. We had the spin from Lewis Hamilton-Smith. We've had 1 or 2 others in dramas having made a stop. So the new drivers going in and needing to get to grips with the situation slightly more readily than some are doing, perhaps. But that was nothing to do with the Breton problem, by the looks of things. It was nothing to do with the driver, and possibly a wheel that hadn't fully been put on the car. We'll find out more about that in due course. Chua Daraglu's, no longer, beg pardon, David Fumanelli's Kessel Racing Ferrari, number 33, 4th in that class. But the best they can hope for now is, what, 3rd?
Maybe. Eliseo Dono, by the way, still aboard that class-leading car, having lapped the field.
Yeah.
Because the 83 car is pitted as well. Of course, that car will need to pit, but currently 10th overall.
And he's just done the fastest lap of the category as well. So not letting up as the car's nice and light now, deep into the stint. And I suppose the one thing we don't have to worry about is fuel length for a GT3 car. That was never the hampering factor. It was more about how far the LMP3s might be able to do on a fuel-hungry circuit like Silverstone, with no data heading into this event.
So all sorts of dramas, some significantly more dramatic than others. Yellows at turn 1, protecting these. It's not the pit exit, it's the old access road beyond that.
Yes.
So he's done well to keep that out of harm's way. Double yellows to protect that side, and then look to see whether or not they can get that car to a place of safety without further intervention, I'm sure.
You don't need me to tell you this, but Gaël Julien is now the quickest driver in LMP3 Pro-Am. So yes, he might be making his Michelin Le Mans Cup debut this weekend, but it's taken him absolutely no time at all to do a 1:57.339. which is the best lap of the secondary LMP3 category to this point.
We wait to see just where the cars ahead of him in that order, because M Racing 64 car currently running 5th with Pierre Caffer still aboard the car. Remember, Pierre will have to get out of that car with more than 45 minutes to go, because we've not yet seen like a Doppelmayr, have we, in that car?
Yeah, bear in mind, you know, you've got to be thinking about a 3-minute pit stop, maybe a little bit more than that. So you've got to be in with 48 minutes left on the clock, ideally 49 or 50, I would suggest.
But Doppelmayr will have quite the lead in the class to defend. Though it is fair to say his pace is not at the sharp end of that grid.
No, I thought you were going to say it's not quite as good as Pierre Caffer, which is also true.
Neither's mine, in fairness.
No. We get nowhere close to Caffer and Colin Noble, who are clearly the class of, amongst others, the LMP3 field. But good to have some golds here and there in this championship.
Well, Pierre, an ex-Audi LMP1 factory driver, and, forced to be reckoned with. The Peter Pan, him and Manu Collard of sports car racing. Oh, and a very wide moment there for, is that a CLX racing car? That is the 97, isn't it? It's not the 87, because that car, there's that car, on pit lane. So where is the 97 in the order? And the answer is
16th, David Drew. So an uncharacteristic moment there. We're talking about gold drivers in the form of Pierre Caffer. David Drew is also gold. And that's a first push lap, perhaps, having got into that car fairly recently.
This is 17 from Kessel Racing and the Biogas Motorsport 23. Andrea Bellicchi and Mark Carol Ybarra battling for 5th place. A spirited battle at that particular point.
Certainly is. 5th and 6th places with Fumanelli. Good portion down the road, 14, 15 seconds.
Oh, trouble for Martha Garcia.
How she ended up there, I wonder. Found first gear, maybe had stalled the car initially, but gets it restarted. And it was with the 64 car.
No.
That, unfortunately, was not going to stop for Luffield today at any point. So very, very hot into turn 17. Was it in the 64?
That's Pierre Caffer's car.
Wow, okay. So, got to think maybe something broke on the car, surely, because he knows his GT racing as well.
Car 86, by the way, the second in the order of the LMP3 RSGP cars. 5 seconds added to pit stop. It's had its pit stop, I think. So that will be added post-race. One to watch later on, maybe. See again, didn't look to me like there was anything wrong with Marta's pace at that point.
No. But that's also, you know, not how you make a pass. And Pierre Caffer knows.
There's a fan there that's not impressed at all.
Well, too right. Come here supporting the Iron Dames. Says, what is all that about?
Alicia O'Donnell, by the way, still hasn't pitted. Cycles through in the GT3 leader to 5th overall.
So, Marta Garcia minding her own business. Going down the gears into Luffield and then rudely assaulted. But as I say, what I don't know is, did something fail on that M Racing car?
Don't know.
He's most unlike Pierre Caffer.
He's still going round in 4th place.
Yeah.
And, well, we'll wait and see what is called there by race control. It's a mark, by the way, of the advantage that the 83 car got from the safety car as well. She's not lost 3rd place. She has dropped behind the Aston Martin, and there's some further drama there. That's the 50 car in a brush with 85, I think it is.
Well, 86 ahead of it on the road, so it would make more sense.
The 86 has just been, it's Antoine Decart.
So R-Race GP's Antoine Decart, Matteo Quintarelli with his great qualifying time, not quite good enough for pole earlier, but it was for second.
Alicia O'Donnell to pit lane from the lead in GT3.
Yeah.
Car 64 is going to get a drive-through for causing that collision. And he's on pit lane right now as well, but I think he was on pit lane before that penalty was called.
Surely one of the easiest decisions for the stewards to make today.
I think that was a simple error from Pierre Caffer.
Hey, everybody can make them.
Absolutely right.
Everybody can make them, but it's a shame, because otherwise that Porsche had gone well.
Well, back up to speed now, Martha Garcia. She's still in 3rd place. And remember, the Code Racing car ahead of her has got Philip Sager at the wheel. The gap is significant, but still got to get Valentina Haase-Clos aboard that car. That's again a CD Sports Duquesne. Which one was it though?
Kevin Rabin, number 31, 7th in LMP3 Pro-Am.
This is the point at which the 51 will tumble down the overall order, but I don't think it's going to lose the lead in GT3. Dealt a massive advantage by that safety car.
Well, especially because it's now, yes, a bronze driver taking over, but it's the Monegasque racer Alessandro Cozzi, who's proven himself to be a mean racer.
Yep.
He hasn't actually got a pole position for the year, but he's always been in the mixture, and they've achieved together 2 second places and a 3rd place finish already. No, beg pardon, that was a win, wasn't it, at Road to Le Mans, because there were slightly fewer points on offer in each of the individual Road to Le Mans races, so they won the first of those.
Top 5 cars in the overall order on pit lane now. It includes Sebastian Grauland from the lead of the race, Samir Ben in the Virage car. Adrian David is cycling back up. Charles Roussin, where is he going to emerge in that order? Then Pierre Caffer, who will have to come in again, or rather his co-driver will have to come in again with that drive-through penalty ordered. And then the AF Corsa leading car in GT3 is dropping down the overall order, but how far? I think not far enough for the remainder of the pack to make a meaningful difference here. So whatever happens, the Aston Martin that currently sits second must pit again to hand the car back to Valentina Haase-Clos later in the race.
Yeah, but that can be a quick stop now, as long as they've done the full service and taken 2 minutes and 40 seconds in pit lane, slightly longer as was the case for the Aston.
Will need fuel.
They'll need fuel to get to the finish,
yeah.
True, but it's the fuel that will be the dictating factor. I can't imagine they would put tyres on that unless they're fully shredded, but tyre wear can be managed through the course of the stint. I think they just thought, well, can we approach this a little differently? Now Pierre Caffer's off the road.
That's Doppelmayr coming out in the same car.
Okay,
so Michael
that's
Doppelmayr on his outlap is off the road. Will need to come in to make a drive-through penalty. Meantime, Grauland and Samir Ben still on pit lane, and I think this is the 85 car coming through to take the lead.
Alessandro Cozzi's driver ID hasn't been changed as the 51 car re-emerges, still showing Eliseo Dono. As long as that is corrected quickly, then I hope that not to be a problem. But it depends whether it hangs on for several laps, because that was the issue for the Code Racing Development Aston Martin. Now running second, but needing to stop one more time.
Yeah, Philip Sager is 10 seconds back here.
Incident at the first corner now at Copse, as some investigation work is taking place for the LMP3 number 71 on its full course yellow. Well, speeds possibly, just under investigation for the full course yellow. Might be how it got into it or out of it, but something is awry there potentially for Felipe Fernandez-Larza, championship leader in LMP3 Pro-Am with Stefan Aust. And we're going to go full course yellow because of the problems at the first corner, which presumably still has Michael Doppelmayr stranded.
Well, my guess is that if they've got Michael Doppelmayr stranded, they'll take the opportunity to clear both the stranded cars there now. Yes. So we are going to go to full course yellow. And while we're doing that, I'm just going to have a quick check to see that everybody should have served 10 seconds.
We'll be deploying full course yellow in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow is deployed. Full course yellow is deployed.
80 kph for everyone, and the chance still to potentially make a stop. The issue now for the 11 crew rather, Code Racing Development, has Philippe Sager done his 45 minutes? Because if he hasn't, he'll have to stay out for a little bit longer. Well, it's all been happening. Another full course yellow for the race at Silverstone for the Michelin Le Mans Cup, but it's certainly been intense from the off. Sebastian Grauland, a very wide run in and out of Copse, And then there was a CD Sport Duquesne ending up backwards at Beckett's. And thankfully, that car did not rejoin at that peculiar angle, because that could have caused a real problem. It was the CD Sport car that did eventually spin turn and was back into the race. Then there was the door handle action ahead of a big crash at Stowe. We will get to that in due course. But a good getaway, terrific getaway from Alessio Dono, who was put into the 51 Ferrari after that car had all its times deleted. An unusual mistake from Colin Noble as he caught the curb during his opening stint. And Noble, the team at Nielsen, deciding to put him in for the first phase. Facing the wrong way for the More Motorsport number 99 car, and also Motorsport 98 and Eric de Donker of Belgium involved with that as well. Then a puncture for the 95 Ebby Motors Porsche, going okay at this point, but in the not too distant future, one of the rear tyres, here it is, would let go on Fabrizio Broggi's car, needing to limp it home well before he could get out of that car. Good dicing in the middle order, including from that recovering number 30 CD Sport car of Thomas Imborg, who'd lost it in Maggots and Beckett's. And speaking of losing it entirely on his own, Eric de Donker, the peculiar thing was all that smoke that pumped out of the vent above the cockpit. And then a big collision, maybe a misunderstanding between a Breton Racing LMP3 and the Ebby Motors Porsche, which by this point had its rear tyre replaced, but this was a far bigger problem, hitting those wooden panels up against earth down at Abbey Corner. Collision as well, double hit, you're quite right, between the 88 and the 44, so they were side to side. That's what caused the spin. And then as the 44 car of Jacek Zielonka came back across the track, it collected Romano Ricci's car, and that has since been handed over to Romano's teammate Ewan Thomas, as unfortunately the 44 chewed itself to bits on the run in. But amazing, this 88 car is still being shown in the race, and Ewan Thomas is the silver driver, having taken that over. Side to side between the Racing Spirit Le Mans number 10 of Christian Gysi and Vanina X, and then when Marta Garcia took this car over, the 83, a big punt to the rear, really upsetting the Iron Dames fans, and quite rightly so. Pierre Caffer at Luffield. So we have 40 minutes to go, but we are under another caution. This is the third of the race from memory, and RHGP are exactly where they were at the start of this race, leading it by, I won't say a comfortable margin, but there are cars between it and CLX.
Yeah, at the moment the gaps are obviously affected by the full course yellow. Most interesting thing is we scan down this order. Gael Julien has cycled round to the lead of LMP3 Pro-Am, is in 13th place overall, under investigation. It says on our screens FC, I'm guessing that's FCY. So whatever they're looking at looks to be linked into the current full course yellow for Gael Julien. James Winslow second in Pro-Am. We're going to go back to green flag racing in 30 seconds. Then NS Motorsports' Paul Grosjean sits third in that class. In GT3, big advantage handed to AF Corsa. Alessandro Cozzi now shown at the wheel of the 51 car, with Philip Sager second in the 11. Code Racing Development Aston Martin, but needs to change
9,
back
8,
to the
7,
the pro driver,
6,
and then the
5,
Iron Dames retain
4,
third.
3,
to go back to green.
2, 1.
This is going to be a great burst back into life, because Fuminelli catches Philippe Sager napping. Sager did not pull away, it seemed, from the 80 km/h speed limit. There will have been a green flash on the dashboard for Fuminelli, and through the gears he goes up towards Maggots and Beckett's.
86 and 50 here, close together. Also in the background there, the 97 CLX Motorsport car. Antoine Ducam, Matteo Quintarelli and David Drew, three rapid drivers in LMP3 cars. And it looks to me like David Drew has got the better here of Quintarelli up the inside for CLX Motorsport as they come down the Copse.
After Fuminelli got that great getaway, of course, it's that point that I realised they're not on the same lap because of how the safety car
intervened earlier on, so maybe Sega was not too concerned about the approaches of the 33, wanted to allow Fuminelli through rather than be under pressure from the red car for the remainder of the stint.
Well, Fuminelli must be pretty close to Alessandro Cozzi to unlap himself.
Okay.
Because the two leading cars in GT3, the AF Corsa car and the Code Racing Aston Martin, were not that far between them, so I think Fuminelli is pushing hard to unlap himself.
I think that's actually right. On the tracker, 33 shown ahead now, so just less than a lap behind the 51 car of Alessandro Cozzi. RHGP, Adrian David continues to lead as we head to the pit lane to catch up with Steph.
Welcome to the pit lane. I'm joined by Ben Spellan, driver of the number 25 Reiter Engineering. You have emerged in quite a competitive position after only a little intervention during your stint.
Yeah, it was a really difficult start. I couldn't get the start correct, but then after that, in the first lap, we made up several positions. And after that, it was quite a, let's say, a relaxing race. I mean, there was not much happening other than a full course yellow and the safety car. But the first stint was really strong, and now I'm hoping that my teammate can keep up the position, if not even make up some positions now.
Yeah, not so relaxing for you now, as you're hoping to move up some positions and claim a podium.
Yeah, it would be really nice to claim our second podium of the year. We already had one in Paul Ricard, and it was really memorable, so I would love to have to stand on the podium again.
Best of luck, thank you.
Thank you.
On we go, 39 minutes left on the clock. This is lap 30, and Charles Roussin just starting to turn up the wick a little bit, doing a personal best through the final sector in the 5th placed Forestier Racing by VPS car. I mentioned a short time ago that the 71 Felipe Fernandez Larza car that's just working its way through Village is now under investigation, one of several that were being checked for full course yellow potential infringements. Into pit lane comes the Code Racing Development Aston Martin for Philippe Saga, so that presumably is his 45 minutes now done.
Tyres going on the Aston Martin, we can see it now, and that will be Valentina Harzeclo back to the wheel. It is enough to put Marta Garcia up into second place at this point. I think there's going to be quite the gap as well for Valentina Harzeclo to attack in this Aston Martin. So it's make things quite exciting in the last 38 minutes of this race. But right now, the much assaulted Iron Dames Porsche is up into second place. Big gap to the AF Corsa car. How big a gap? Well, I say big gap. It is 34, 35 seconds, and Marta Garcia against Alessandro Cozzi. It's not done yet, you know.
Far from it, with best part of 40 minutes still on the clock. And looking to gain another position. Here comes Fernandez Larza round the outside of Paul Trajani's ANS Motorsport car. This is for 3rd position as things stand in LMP3 Pro-Am. As I say, the 71 could yet get called to serve a penalty after that was being checked. The 84 of ANS now down to 4th, and Griffin Peebles is waiting in the wings after that 2nd place finish in Le Mans Cup last time at Spa.
It's one to watch, you know. Car 5 gets a drive-through penalty, overtaking under full course yellow. That is the interior car of Nolan Siegel, and car 3 also a drive-through penalty for overtaking under full course yellow. So the eagle eyes of that's the Ginetta, by the way, sitting in 12th place in the hands of Wyatt Brickachek. So that's going to hurt there. I don't think GT3 is done, not by a long shot. 32 seconds is the gap, Marta Garcia to Alessandro Cozzi. And what was the difference last time around? 6 seconds quicker, Marta Garcia. So after all the trials and tribulations, there's every chance here the Iron Dames could win this race.
Yeah, well, if she's finding 6 seconds a lap, I mean, that might have been a one-off potentially, but Garcia versus Alessandro Cozzi is definitely one to keep our eyes glued upon. And let's face it, the 83 Porsche and the 51 Ferrari do have a bit of history from earlier on.
Do somewhat.
In the campaign.
Unfortunate history.
Indeed.
There's a replay, what's going here.
So to the outside is the 66 that will have been started by Steve Parrow and his teammate with a cracking overtake there. Outside, inside trick.
That's for 4th place.
Okay.
LMP3 Pro-Am.
There's Griffin Peebles again.
Yeah, watch this man. I mean, we're going to be talking about this kid for some time. He looks to me, to be blunt, Johnny, to be one of those special talents that we're going to see grow in sports car racing. I hope we keep hold of him in sports car racing. A super kid.
Yeah. Well, we've seen it before in this junior type category for prototypes. Think back to the days of Joop van Uitert emerging for the first time. Malte Jacobsen, so good.
Jensen, another one.
Jensen, yeah, too right in these LMP3 cars, providing them with a great opportunity. Woodcut there, that could have been a huge incident, but amazingly keeping on the straight and narrow, no idea.
It was the CLX car, I think, wasn't it? But a huge bobble over the curbs.
Well, kicking up the dust as well into the face of the pursuing Quintarelli.
That is David Drew, by the way, trying to get to terms with Antoine Ducan and just tried to be a little bit greedy over the curbs. That car, I think, was pretty much airborne. Looking here, this is the race leader in GT3 with all the cars in the world around him. This is more GT3 cars unlapping themselves from him. That is the battling Kessel Racing and Biogas Ferraris. And he does not want to be held up by these LMP3 cars. I'm going to keep an eye on that gap. It is down to 25, 26 seconds. It is his pace at the moment, 2:08 to 2:02 is from Martin Garcia. It's on.
To a certain degree, Cozzi, he's got to sort of live with this traffic and being swamped on occasion by LMP3s. But of course, he's being caught and overtaken by LMP3s. Then Garcia's already had to go through all of that. It's not like if you're in a quicker car catching slower traffic so that you have to deal with the pain, but then your rival further back down the track has to do that in a few seconds' time. It's sort of the reverse, being swamped by P3s. Might cost you an apex here and there, and therefore have a significant dent in the GT lap time. 86, we've mentioned before, Antoine Ducan, Matteo Quintarelli right in behind. Very wide run through Brooklands this time for the Italian. When the sun gets to this level, it gives you the perfect view into it. Just lights the cockpit of all the cars as they turn through Luffield. And you can see the drivers hard at work, particularly if they've got their helmet visor up and the eyes firmly focused on the next few corners. Adrian David still only got 1.8 seconds of an advantage over Alvise Rodeia for CLX. And then a cushion of 5 seconds or so back to Romain Favre for SDA Racing by VPS. He is third.
That Code Racing Developments pit stop, 3 minutes and 2 seconds. Yes, they had the 20-second penalty to serve, so that's another full-length pit stop. And you know what? If Philip Sager's still aboard that car, I don't think he is. I think they've not changed the driver identifier. Right, so they've not changed the driver identifier again, being told that Valentina Hasenclos is aboard the car, and it's not been changed for a second time.
Yeah.
And I'm as sure as I can be that was what the penalty was for.
Okay, when they were first investigating that car.
Meantime, by the way, as we watch yet another battle pack of LMP3s, I can tell you, Martin Garcia is now under 17 seconds back from Alessandro Cozzi. There's over half an hour to go, and Garcia is 8 seconds quicker than that last time around. David Fuminelli is the next threat, and he, because of that advantage drawn in the safety car, is, I think, over a minute back. And on the last lap around, was slower than Martin Garcia.
Yeah, so there's no concern from behind the Iron Dames Porsche at this stage. That means that Marta Garcia can focus entirely on how close she is to Alessandro Cozzi. Won't be able to have a visual on him just yet, but the team will be keeping an update on the progress. Now the gaps come down even more first to second because of a new fastest lap of the race set by Alvise Rodeia for CLX Motorsport. So looming large in the mirrors now for Adrian David is the chasing 87 car.
LMP2, LMP3 Pro-Am, high-class racing's Gail Julien holds a 16-second gap over James Winslow in the 23 Events Racing team. The veteran James Winslow, though, is pushing hard. Both those drivers track limits on the last lap. They're going to have to watch that doesn't become a factor in the result of this race.
Half an hour pretty much still to go, and one or two have taken some interesting routes through this race. Others, the more conventional approach, seems that the latter is working. For Race GP in the lead of the race by a second over CLX Motorsport, but Rodea's fastest lap of the race has come just at the right time.
There's further dramas coming for the Aston Martin and for a gaggle of other cars. Cars 10, that is the Racing Spirit Le Mans car, 10th in LMP3 Pro-Am, 20 and 58. 58 is the GG Classics car, 20 is High Class Racing's 13th place car in LMP3, and the 11 Code Racing Aston Martin under investigation, not serving penalties correctly.
Yes.
So whether or not it's going to be procedural, it's not an ultimate time thing in pit lane, because all of them are over 2 minutes 50. But something else has happened.
Well, let's deal with this replay first of all. Ginetta, number 3, to the inside at Vale Corner, and the smoke from the rear of, didn't quite catch which car that was, swinging left and right into Klopp.
Oh, side-by-side contact there between the Reiter Engineering car and one of the Frostier Racing by VPS cars.
Yeah, so that, I'm assuming, was Charles Roussin and Nicholas Bourne for 4th and 5th places, therefore. When was that announcement about the 11 Code Racing development car, about the extra 10 seconds added to the
20 seconds.
Time?
It was 20 seconds. It was way into the second hour.
Right, okay. But it wasn't in that long list. The
No.
11 car wasn't in the long list.
No, they were not. No.
So that's not the issue that was with the pit stop. That there should have been. Oh, finally, Valentin Hasclot, his driver ID is changed. Just suddenly crossed my mind that all of a sudden that, you remember that 2 minutes 43 that they did very, very early on?
Yes.
I was concerned that should have been 2 minutes 50 to soak up a 10-second penalty, but they weren't in that initial list. Fine. So, yeah, I go back to what you were thinking about, the driver ID not being correct. I wonder if they've got some sort of glitchy system today.
Possible.
Twice today, but it's not an excuse necessarily.
We'll tell you, Martha Garcia now is under 13 seconds, under 11 seconds in fact, back from Alessandro Cozzi, but now has Gillian Henry on between the two as he makes his way back up the order as rapidly as Gillian usually does. James Winslow still 16 seconds back from Gail Julien in the lead battle for LMP3 Pro-Am, and that is the battle for 13th overall. And further distance carved out of the overall race lead. Adrian David under real pressure now from Alvise Rodella. That gap is 3/4 of a second. There it is. 5.5 seconds clear of Romain Favre in the first of the Frostier Racing by VPS cars. So this is a real world battle right now. So we get to soak this up as the battle for the overall lead in GT3 gets to be under 11 seconds now. And whilst Alessandro Cozzi's pace has come down somewhat to 05s, still having full seconds and multiples of them carved out by Marta Garcia.
Yeah, so Cozzi not being able to see that pink and white car in the mirrors, or not for very long at least, maybe on the longer straights. That car's getting a little larger because it's now down to beneath the 10-second margin. Cozzi to Garcia, first to second in GT3.
Right, Brigacek has taken his drive-through penalty, dropping that car down the order, bringing the LMP3 Pro-Am lead battle closer to the top 10 overall.
David to Rodella is 0.6 of a second, because Rodella is still finding time. He, even on the previous lap, did an absolute best middle sector.
That's the leader.
As the pressure told on Alessandro Cozzi, he knew Marta Garcia was getting close. Was that contact? I think it was.
It was.
With the 71 LMP3 Pro-Am and the championship
Where
leader
is the
as
pink
well.
Porsche? Where's the pink Porsche? That's the key question. And they are in the lead of the race. Marta Garcia has gone through to take the lead of GT3.
So a swing of 9 seconds in one direction, now 6 to the advantage of the Spaniard, ahead of Alessandro Cozzi. But that for me is concerning about the championship leader as well, the 71 car that was already under investigation, and it's a 5-second time penalty for car 71 for a full course yellow infringement.
Well, that will at the moment just drop them one place, ironically behind the sister car, as another LMP3 car goes wide and clatters over the curbs. That's the 97. David Drew's had a torrid time, hasn't he, lately? The 49 car, meanwhile, that's a 5-second time penalty. That's our race leader in LMP3 Pro-Am, Gael Julien. That will not, at the moment, lose him the lead, but it will bring James Winslow 5 seconds closer.
Yeah. Well, it's a gap that currently stands at 18 seconds, so you're down to 13 very swiftly indeed. Gael Julien, the type of driver who probably only needs a second still to take a victory, so 13 as the margin won't concern him overly. How about this for a scrap for the race lead? Totally sideways there. Alvise Rodella at Village and the Loop. He's pushing like crazy. Teammates and engineers and members of the CLX crew willing him on with every corner as well. And Adrian David under possibly the biggest amount of pressure he's had all season. And now off the road, the 31 CD Sport car in the gravel track. That looks a bit like Luffield. It is Luffield.
That will require intervention. That's in line of fire, isn't it? I don't think we're going to be doing that one under yellow flags. That will need intervention. The incident, by the way, we saw involving cars 44, 88 and 11. That was the then race. That wasn't that. That was the Code Racing Development car. Didn't see that one. It will be investigated after the race. 44, 88 and 11.
Well, unless the Code Racing Development Aston Martin was in the mix when they collided at Stowe.
Looks like that happened all on his lonesome.
And who was that? Kevin Rabin, again, we've mentioned his name once before. I only think about the Stowe collision because that involved 88 and 44. Also hearing from Steph in pit lane that number 7 Ades from Nielsen Racing, last driven by Tom Fleming, is now out of the race. It retires in the pit lane.
We're going to full course yellow for, I'm sure, that incident. That's,
At 18:13:00, we will be deploying full course yellow. In 35 seconds, we will deploy full course yellow.
So further intervention. Hearing that the Castle Racing car of David Fuminelli has come in for tyres. Right side tyres.
We will be deploying full course yellow in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow is deployed. Full course yellow is deployed. T17 bear right. T17 bear totally right. We have Manitous and Marshalls exposed.
So that's 22 minutes to go. Right side tyres taken. Drops David Fuminelli out of a podium position. What's happened here? That is the 31.
To 30.
Oh, it's the other one. It's the other CD Sport car. Just trying to unpick why they've done that. I think they've done it because of the full course yellow coming, and I think he was out of tyres. He's given up 2 places in this fight, but has done that under full course yellow and will have fresh rubber with 20 or so minutes to go. So I think he was marginal and probably felt he was vulnerable to the cars behind, and now he's left to chase. There's the 51 car after being rather bullied off track from the lead that I think he would have lost anyway. But Alessandro Cozzi was losing ground to Marta Garcia, and that gap was under 10 seconds before the 51 was turned around.
And the other car involved with that was Felipe Fernandez-Laza in the 71 Rinaldi Racing Pro-Am P3.
Which has already got a 5-second penalty for a full course yellow infringement.
Yes.
Will lose him a place as things stand to Griffin Peoples in the other Rinaldi car, This is
Here
the
is
incident.
And very close to being involved with the second of those LMP3 cars, actually. Needed to guess, and quickly, where the Cozzi Ferrari was going to go next. That's where the Porsche got through of Marta Garcia.
So that's our race leader in GT3. There you go. Happier fan this time around. It's been quite the day, hasn't it, for Iron Dames? 2 pole positions, one in the Le Mans Cup and one in European Le Mans Series, leading this race. Puncture rear left, we're hearing from Steph Wentworth. So looks like there was no real choice with that. It's not looking to gain the performance advantage in the last 15-20 minutes of this race. It was a necessity.
It seemed peculiar that that was just general tyre wear, because Silverstone feels like, having run the track with you last night, felt like actually most of the asphalt was brand new. So
I mean, when I was leaning into the corners at the high speeds I was putting in on that run,
lots of grip.
So much mechanical grip.
You had the knee out and everything.
Mate, honestly, it was
Valentino Rossi style.
I felt like I was king of the world.
Well, when we all cheered you over the line at 11:30 last night, when the run started at 6 p.m, it was quite an achievement.
Mate, 15 laps in that time is not bad going for a man of my age. 1 lap is really pretty poor.
Yeah, okay. If you believe that, you'll believe anything. But no,
I'll say it again, by the way. Congratulations to everybody who turned out for that. It was a fantastic course.
700 odd people?
700 plus people turning out for a fun run around the full Grand Prix circuit. What a privilege to be allowed to do it, to be honest with you. And yes, I took a walk around with a group of fans and we had a chat about sports car racing. What better way to actually spend a sunny evening at Silverstone. Thanks for joining me, boys and girls, by the way.
I felt sorry for the collection of people who genuinely said there was no escape at the end. They said, this guy just kept talking to me about sports car racing. Didn't even know who he was. Terrific. And the sun was setting, well, kind of a similar time to this.
Yeah,
we were setting off 24 hours ago. So a beautiful evening tonight at Silverstone. Sadly, we're not racing at this point, but we will be shortly to finish the first ever Michelin Le Mans Cup race here at the home of British Motorsport, with a terrific dice set up nicely for the head of the order in LMP3. There's a smile from Vanina Ricks, and the fingers crossed. Her girl Marta Garcia in command, driving the 83 Porsche. And let's hope it's not too badly damaged after that fairly hefty headbutt from Pierre Caffer's car earlier on. So the Iron Dames
we will be removing full Cosilo at 18.00. In 30 seconds, we will be removing full Cosilo.
The Porsche under full course yellow speeds has an advantage of over 30 seconds. Obviously, those gaps will come down. It's going to be much closer between Adrian David and Alvisa Rodella for Arches GP and CLX Motorsport.
We will be removing full Cosilo in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full Cosilo has been removed.
Back to green for David Rodella. How far away is Favre? About 5 seconds. But he's got a comfortable margin then on Charles Roussin. So Forestier Racing by VPS looking like they'll get 2 cars into the top 4 at the end of this. Regarding the gaps between LMP3 Pro-Am leader and second place, that's manageable at this stage for Gaël Julien, even if he has that. Well, he has got a 5-second penalty, is that right, or was he being investigated?
He has a 5-second penalty.
He has a 5-second penalty, which he can't take in the next pit stop because there's not likely to be another pit stop, so they'll add that on at the end of the race. And the Code Racing Development Aston Martin still being checked for its part in an incident, but that's going to be done at the end of the race with the 44 and the 88 LMP3 cars.
That race has pretty much fallen apart, hasn't it? There was a strategy call made that didn't pay off. They've had a couple of penalties now and an inexplicably long second pit stop. I wonder whether or not they were told they had to serve the 2 minutes 40 seconds again. I think that's why it was a long pit stop.
Okay.
I think that's why they did it.
It's possible. It's possible, but I sort of go with your theory about the driver ID not being right as well for as many laps as it was incorrect. You normally get a message, perhaps channeled through Discord, to just say, get the driver ID sorted, and then if it's not, it's a bit like cooperating to a blue flag. You get so many chances, and then eventually there's a penalty.
I guess one of the questions from listeners and viewers might be why. Well, here's the point. If you're operating strategy against a mixed class, a Pro-Am driver lineup, you are judging your strategy against what's presented to you by the data you've got available. And if it tells you you've got the other driver in the car you're competing against, you're not getting the correct information.
True.
And that's not fair.
Yeah. So it's fairness, but it's also from an officiating point of view.
Absolutely right. Has he done 45 minutes?
Well, yeah. Did they do a driver change there, which they must have done, or did they not? Yeah, if the driver ID is not correct, is not displaying the current driver, it just makes everybody else's job very, very difficult.
Well, one to watch in GT3 here is going to be the pace at this stage of the race from David Fuminelli, who I'm sure will be absolutely rapid right now, as poor Alessandro Cozzi is getting beaten up by another group of LMP3 cars. I think he's had enough of this afternoon. They get through this time without incident.
A lot of them in the process changing position. That's the More Motorsport car a lap down in comparison to others. So that's the second of the CLX cars in the sequence, because Romain Favre's got ahead of Alvise Rodella. So what on earth has happened there? Because Rodella was pressurising the race leader, Adrian David, and now all of a sudden that was a 2:04.
What's happened there?
And David's had a slow one as well, a 2:05. Have they collided with one another?
I wonder if they've had a bit of a coming together.
I don't think we saw that, or we were concentrating on other things and completely missed it, but we'll try and get to the bottom of that. So a car is trailing something.
Let's have a look at this. This is not that battle.
No. So at this point...
hang on, that's the battle for second.
Well, yeah, but Favre's already in front of Rodella by that point. So that was a definite slow lap for Adrian David at a 2:05. He lost 6 seconds compared to Favre. But Rodella's lost about the same time as well, and lost a position.
I'll add this. It can make a difference, the point in the track where you go back to green.
Okay.
Okay? Depending on where your peak speed, your lowest speed is, it can make a difference. I doubt it can make a 10-second difference.
Very, very surprised, but I know what you're saying. If the point that it goes back to green is a slow speed corner,
yes.
So you're in the middle of Village, for instance, you're going to lose less time than if you were on the Hanger Straight.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the fact that both of them have lost pretty much the same amount of time,
yes,
to my mind, it's either an incident, or it's that, or it's both.
Did neither of them, for some reason, get the signal that we were green again?
Well, the other possibility is that they did, but there was a car ahead that didn't.
Okay, yeah, that's a scenario as well. So but they can overtake that car. Are they able to do that? Either way, they've got swamped by Romain Favre, and Favre's now up to second place. Adrian David's been driving really quite well today, so it's now a tough ask for Favre to actually win this, although he's just done his personal best opening sector at a 34.3. David Drew almost got a warning for track limits there, but that's now been cancelled by the officials.
Salto Montecano, he just got by the Writer Engineering number 25 car, I think. That's positions have changed for the 10th place battle.
I think that all had to have happened coming out of the full course yellow.
Well, we've got here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cars battling away for 9 consecutive positions, including the lead battle for LMP3 Pro-Am.
And the points positions as it stands, a win for RSGP, we did say this earlier on, is enough to take the title.
Yeah.
Because the gap would be 28 points with only 26 left on the table.
So this lead battle is critical, because that would remove 7 points from the race leaders, 25 to 18. That's the swing that would make the difference potentially of taking this to Portimao.
Yeah. If Favre can get ahead of David, then it would certainly extend the championship fight to the final race weekend, which is something we always love. Obviously teams and those fans of the individual teams, very partisan in that respect, want it all sewn up before we travel to the south of Portugal, to the Atlantic coast.
Well, there are several cars here looking to make sure that doesn't happen, and one of them, of course, is the number 87 car. Here comes Alves Rodella. We may only find out after the race what occurred in those moments.
So with the pole position earlier on, Adrian David, Hugo Schwarzer went to 65 points, and they can now extend to 90, whereas Rodella and Provost at the moment, having fallen down to third, well, even them finishing in second wouldn't have actually helped in terms of preventing David and Schwarzer from winning the championship today. So a gap estimated to be 28 points would be enough, but 0.8 of a second, Favre within touching distance on lap 43.
Well, Rodella getting back up to second would take it to Portimao.
Oh, it would, okay.
Yeah, just. And Favre going ahead of David would. So the order in which these top three finish, if indeed it's these top three, is absolutely critical. Car 6, the latest to get a penalty. I did tell you that there were busy people up in race control for Michelin Le Mans Cup. That is a full course yellow infringement for the car that sits 15th in LMP3, 19th overall. Currently in the hands of Marcus Pommer, the A&S Motorsport car. And that will drop it behind its team car, which is actually the 5th place car in Pro-Am. Paul Trajani.
Nothing between the top two. And of course, if 85 doesn't win, then that certainly takes us to Portimao. It's a tough ask, even if the fight for second changes, but I've got to say it's much more likely that Favre might be able to get ahead of Adrian David with 9 minutes to go. He's in the slipstream on the hanger straight, and Adrian David into defensive mode, putting the car in the middle of the track at Stowe. Did he run a bit wide? Well, he did a little bit, but so did Favre, and a long look down the inside there from Favre. Thinks better of it as they head for club.
Yeah, the automotive version of a side-eye there, wasn't it, really? But he's on it here. What a spell he's had since we went back to green. He gets a great run here down the Hamilton Straight.
Rodella in the background, more and more distant actually, and I'm confused by that because he's had a very good opening. Well, first 2/3 of this stint from the Italian. You couldn't stop him.
Well, you've also got to look at the gap to Charles Rosin behind, because if he is just driving around a little bit of a problem, could that be a further issue? Further penalty coming the way of the number 71 Rinaldi racing car, by the way. So I think it's 2 5-second penalties. So that will drop that car at the moment 2 places back. Fastest lap of the race goes to the car currently in 27th place. And that's Guillaume Henrion after some problems early on for Eric de Doncker. He's trying to force his way back up the order. A 1:54.701 last time around.
Nice chunk of personal best times coming through now, actually, for Wyatt Bricard in the number 3. Jeanette Evanina is continuing to watch on in a relatively comfortable manner. She'll be checking the split times, but Garcia leading Kotze by just under half a minute.
So hearing that we are going to see a pit stop for high-class racing.
Ooh.
And just checking which car that is. It's the 20 car, and that's driver time.
Well, there was a car that pitted. There was a car that pitted after 40 minutes, wasn't there?
Yes, there was. That's the one. So they've got that message. So that is going to ruin that run. They're currently sitting 12th in LMP3, but that's going to drop that car way back.
Yeah, well, at the time got me thinking. I misread a document that I'd attempted to read about 17 times prior to today that said 45 minutes as the minimum drive time, regardless of your rating. They'd obviously thought that it was 40 and came in that bit too early, and now need to top up that drive time with their first pilot of the day.
They're on pit lane now, thanks to Steph Wentworth, the updates in our ears. Sadly, we can't put Steph to air to bring you those details, but we'll pass them on. And we'll credit our little pocket rocket down on pit lane for that.
Felipe Fernandez-Lars has just gone quicker than his car. The 71 Rinaldi Racing offering has gone to this point. Trajani's really going well also.
in the ANS Motorsport 84 car that he shares with Julien Lemois. So that's a couple of PBs on back-to-back laps from Trajani.
6 minutes for the title for Adrian David and RSGP. Needs to fend off this attack from Romain Favre. Meanwhile, the Iron Dames, the 83, look at this. These are important moments for this programme.
Best result so far for the Garcia-X combination was third last time out at Spa, with X returning, in fact, from that time away at her home race, Spa-Francorchamps. Knows that place very well. Will have raced here, though, too, I'm sure.
I'll tell you, Martin Garcia, by the way, has pulled 32 seconds on Alexandra Cozzi. And just looking at whether or not he's not under any pressure at all from behind. So it is about 5 minutes to take that win.
Yeah, that wasn't from zero, because Cozzi was still recovering. I think through the first split, once Garcia took the race lead, the gap was already 6 seconds in the favour of the young Spaniard, but she's definitely opened that up to significantly more now. The Iron Dames 83. Through Abbey go the race leaders. Farm, and now Village is next, with a bit of traffic potentially up ahead. It's the red Ferrari of David Fumanelli, so a slightly different route required in and out of the loop for Adrian David. What's his exit speed like? Favre looking to certainly match it, ideally utilise that toe, but actually it is Adrian David who uses the David Fumanelli Ferrari, and Favre thinks, I've got to get underneath this Ferrari at the same time as the RSGP number 85 so that I don't lose too much time, and he actually judged that very, very well. I think Fumanelli was aware of what was going on there, so didn't cause a huge issue as the top two homed in on that Ferrari number 33 from Kessel Racing. So the sun and the sun getting lower, the shadows getting longer at Silverstone. We have 3.5 minutes still to go, and Adrian David again with a slower car that he has to go around at Maggots and Beckett's, but so too did Favre. There was a brief moment there where I thought Romain had done that slightly better than Adrian, the race leader. He's still right with him, mind you. Hanger straight this lap. One more, maybe one after that, actually. Maybe that's a bit too much of a stretch, but all of a sudden Matteo Quintarelli showing some good speed, and he is right with Charles Roussin. So the new fastest car on the racetrack is Quintarelli, hunting down Roussin to try and force his way ahead and into 4th position. But Roussin is responding, setting his personal best lap time to this point. Traffic here, there and everywhere now for Adrian David. He'll be thinking, I didn't realise there were this many cars in the race. He has to go to the outside line, which is the inside for Village, and judges that neatly. But Favre is following his every move.
It's spellbinding stuff. Under 2.5 minutes to go, and this is for the title. I'll add, by the way, there was a real moment of history in prospect at the end of this race in GT.
Oh, Favre thought about it, but he was nowhere near close enough.
New fastest lap of the race, Matteo Quintarelli.
Yeah, I just said that.
Trying to get on.
But look at the gap.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Quintarelli to Roussin fights on for 4th, and you can see why Quintarelli's going so.
Absolutely right.
So quick.
Roussin, by the way, has been trying to close the gap to Rodella. That's not been doable. It's been around 17, 18 seconds. 2 minutes to go.
Last lap. It is the last lap, called as such by the timekeepers. So it's now or never, really. Maggots and Beckett's would be a brave place to try and pull off an overtake. David is strong through here, and he will hope that through the left-hand kink at Chapel and on to Hanger Straight, there is a clear road in front of him. There kind of is. Half the Hanger Straight is not occupied by rivals, and many of whom should be responding to the blue flags anyway, because Adrian David is homing in upon them. Entry and exit in and out of Stowe is pretty good as well. Once more, Favre fainted to the inside line, but oh, I thought that for a moment there he might have been in his own moment through the left and right of Vale and Club, but still Favre is right with the race leader, maybe lost a car length or so as they head past the wing for the final time. Adrian David and Hugo Schwarzer looking to seal this championship, the first ever LMP3. Well, has it always been called Pro-Am?
Pro-Am is the old LMP3.
Yes, okay.
LMP3 is the new class.
So theoretically, the first Pro-Am winner this year would be a first, but nevertheless, this is the new category, and to seal it with a race to spare would be quite some statement from Adrian David and Hugo Schwarzer. I won't say necessarily that he's quite there yet, though. Hugging the inside line at Luffield, Romain Favre does appear to be out of ideas, although it's a drag race coming out of Luffield and through Woodcote. He certainly is right there. What's the gap? It is 0.1 of a second, but Adrian David and Hugo Schwarzer win the race, and we reckon, provisionally, they win the title as well in this brand new category for 2025.
Still got to see the two other classes come through. Gael Julien well clear in the 49 car, has got a time penalty to come, but it's not going to be enough to rob him, and into the top 10 at the end of this race as well, by the way, for what looks like it's going to be the Pro-Am leader. Here comes Marta Garcia for the win for the Iron Dames, and this is an historic moment, not just the first win for the Iron Dames in the Michelin Le Mans Cup, but seals a record that means the Iron Dames are the only team in ACO racing history that has won a class race in every layer of the ladder. They've won with Marta Garcia in the Ligier European Series. They've won now in the Michelin Le Mans Cup. They've won in the European Le Mans Series, and they've won in the FIA World Endurance Championship, and no other team has done that.
Wow, that's an excellent record, isn't it? And probably needs various bits of paperwork and framed on a wall somewhere, and the trophies to be lined up as well from each of those individual races. We can find them all. Iron Dames need to get a photograph of them next to one another. GT3 winners, Vanina X on her return, Marta Garcia on her return, I suppose you could say, after that time when she was hospitalised in Barcelona. She did come back out and race at Le Castellet, but then the car had to sit out the two Road to Le Mans races.
What a moment. Can confirm Gael Julien is home. 7 seconds the good eventually over James Winslow. With all the time adjustments being made, there's all sorts of reshuffles in this, but it doesn't matter for the race winner, and indeed we believe the championship winner. It doesn't matter for the race winner in LMP2 Pro-Am, who finished 11th, by the way, with that time adjustment. They do lose one position in the overall order, and it absolutely doesn't matter for the Iron Dames.
Excellent moment then with the hugs for Vanina and the rest of the team involved with that. Alessandro Cozzi will be rather annoyed, I'm sure, after the collision and then spin with Felipe Fernandez-Larza at the Maggots and Beckett's complex. LMP3 got closer in the closing stages because of the penalty, as we were talking about, for high-class racing. The 49 car, though, eventually finishing 7 seconds clear of the 23 events racing car of Terence Woodward and James Winslow. Finally, Terence Woodward gets a result that he has deserved.
He really has.
Arguably. You know, he's been so fast on a Saturday morning / early afternoon when they were out qualifying. He's had, a pole position. He had a second place fastest time today and has converted that into a second place result. I'm sure that is the best result of the season.
I think he's getting bored with me using the word rueful to describe his expression. But let's take a pause, because for all sorts of reasons, this is a special moment, not just for RHGP, title winners for the first time in ACO rules racing, to be confirmed, but for the Iron Dames as well. And that could well be a very important result indeed, as events around the world of sports car racing roll out in the coming days and weeks.
It's a standout best result for High Class Racing's number 49 crew as well, with a completely revised driver lineup for various reasons this weekend. But Gaël Julien continues the winning. It's almost as if he hasn't been away after such a successful season last year in the European Le Mans Series in the LMP3 campaign with RLR M Sport. So he a winner again, this time with Danish outfit High Class Racing and Thomas Kiefer. There are the celebrations already beginning between Adrian David and Hugo Schwarzer. It was Adrian, I think, who said to Steph earlier on in the day, all we got to do is concentrate on winning this afternoon's race and we will be the champions. And they did that. Obviously, there are various checks now to be done, so we have to speak about these things in a provisional fashion.
Yeah.
But they got enough. They have an unassailable lead by our calculations. But don't forget that this is a provisional result so far. We will get the final classification later on today.
So there you go. What a day here. Yes, it had its dramas. There's the 49 car stopped at pit in. That's our LMP3
winner.
Pro-Am winner.
Yeah.
Let's hope that's not a drama that prevents the car from getting to the podium.
Yes, because
this young lady, though,
checked.
It should be quite rightly absolutely delighted. For me, a little bit of luck in the way in which they took the lead. The pace would have been that they'd take the lead anyway. She was closing, and the luckless Kotze taken out. But there you go. That is an absolutely brilliant scene.
Well, I mean, it was crucial at the time, the contact that Kotze received, but even on a bad day when you're finishing second, and they were benefiting from the safety car and the GT3 positions around it. So on the face of it, the championship leaders coming into this race have still come away with it with 18 points.
Yes, they have. Yep.
They've got to be very, very happy with that. It's not the ideal race. They didn't win it, but they've still scored well.
There's a drama for our race winner here.
Yeah, but it's concerning that that car might not be able to make it back to the pit lane and therefore be pushed by the pit members. It's not going to make it to the winner's circle, if you like, assembled beneath the podium, but there are genuine concerns about that car being checked by the officials.
Yes.
And a fuel sample and a ride height check and all of that. It's still out in competition.
Car 49 under investigation, not reaching Parc Fermé under its own power. Oh, could that be the bitterest of luck for High Class Racing and Gaël Julien?
And therefore a win, if that's the scenario, a win for James Winslow and for Terence Woodward.
Well, we're going to see this, aren't we, when we get to podiums for the Le Mans Cup. You know what? There's something about this series. It's not always pretty, but boy, oh boy, does it dole out drama.
Yeah.
If you want 2 hours in your life of uncontrolled chaos, trust me, either get a young husky, and I know of which I speak, or watch the Michelin Le Mans Cup.
I think he might have been through, well, I always think every possible scenario in motor racing via this championship, and yet it still then brings me something brand new. And we've had scenarios before in ELMS where cars haven't quite made the finish. And in fact, the Iron Lynx, Iron Dames crew even attempted to push one of their cars back with another one of their cars. That was at Monza.
Claudio Schiavone and was it Michelle Gatting aboard or Rahel aboard the car?
I think so.
And I think
the Parabolica at
did
Monza.
They appeal that and win?
Oh, I can't remember that bit.
I thought they did, because I think, wasn't that a win for the 60?
Yeah, maybe. You're testing my memories, but I do have vivid pictures of one car pushing another, which I've never seen in sports car racing before. What a race. Let's get to Steph for reaction about it all.
I am joined by the winners of the race, the winners of LMP3, but not just the race, also the championship. Hopefully we can confirm that soon, that it has been clinched. It's the number 85 RSGP. I am joined with Adrian David. We've lost Hugo along the way, but incredible to cross the line and have that winning feeling.
It was magic. We knew we had to start on pole position to fight for the title today, especially because we knew our pace was not as good as on one lap. So yeah, we had a clear track and we were able to stay in front and give them some dirty air. So yeah, very happy with that win, very happy with that year. I think everything is thanks to a race. We started the year super bad and we ended with the title, so quite unexpected.
And during this race, you were under quite a bit of pressure behind you as well, with attacking Forestier, I think it was, behind you. How did you manage to keep calm under all that pressure?
I was more looking into my mirrors than in front, to be honest. But yeah, I was just focused on not doing any mistake. I knew that without mistake, they could not overtake us. So I just focused on not overshooting the braking points and getting all the apexes.
Well, huge congratulations. Off you go to the podium. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So a great result for Hugo Schwarzer, Adrian David. As they say, the season didn't start well, but it's ending terrifically. So we got underway then a little earlier on this afternoon with the threat of rain here and there, but the bigger drama was cars heading off to the runoff just through lack of tyre temp rather than any moisture on the road surface. And there was a dramatic spin very early on for Thomas Imborg in his CD Sport car on the outside of the circuit, but the inside of Beckett's. And thankfully he managed to spin the car around before it found the racing surface once again. Dicing within GT3 didn't take long to set alight at all, and Alessio Dono around the outside of Vanina X. This was an early spin for Colin Noble, having caught a bit too much curb at Club Corner, and the 7 car would struggle to fight back after that. Also spinners at Luffield, including the Van der Snell father and son crew, also their fellow Benelux runners at Motorsport 98 spinning on the approach to Vale Corner, and that would require some outside assistance. Big off here for Fabrizio Broggi, who'd already suffered a puncture on his Porsche. He did well to get the car back to pit lane for that tyre to be replaced, but then a slight bit of confusion between 3 drivers, potentially. Stefan Aus was involved in the 71. This side-to-side contact, a double impact, in fact, for the 88 of Romano Ricci and Jacek Zilonka in the 44 yellow and black Team Virage car. That was fairly heavily mullered at the front right, and that car then needing to work its way back. This was Pierre Caffer, a bizarre moment, seemingly not braking in time for Luffield and cleaning out Marta Garcia. On course, we didn't know this at the time, for a very good result, but the Iron Dames fans were fuming at that. Then the championship leaders at the time, the 71 in Pro-Am, with a neat overtake after Felipe Fernandez-Larza took that Rinaldi racing car over. This was not a neat overtake, though, on the race leader in GT3 of Alessandro Cozzi, and spinning that car out. Look for Marta Garcia in the pink and white Porsche, because that was the lead change in GT3. The Spaniard went through and kept things neat and tidy all the way to the finish. Vanina X could afford herself a smile, although a nervy one at that. Then we didn't quite catch the point when Roman Favre got ahead of Alvisa Rodella, maybe the run out of the full course yellow, which seemed to delay the 85 car as well. And all of a sudden, Roman Favre was glued to the back of Hugo Schwarzer and Adrian David's car. But they won the race, they won the title as well, and this a first for Iron Dames to win a category race at every rung of the ACO rules ladder, from Ligier European Series all the way through to the FIA World Endurance Championship. It was the Michelin Le Mans Cup that they desperately needed to complete that. High Class Racing took the win on the road in LMP3 Pro-Am, but then the 49 car didn't make the pit lane. It remains to be seen on that result. So it was all happening in short form, and 0.1 of a second, RHGP win the 1 hour and 50 minutes of Silverstone, but they also have enough points, an unassailable lead, heading to one more race of the season in Portimao, but beating a rampant Roman Favre, who's really come into his own today. Looking closely at the 28-23 events racing car, because they might be the ones to inherit the LMP3 Pro-Am victory if there is an issue for car 49 and High Class Racing. And a little further down is where we'll find the Iron Dames Porsche number 83 of Marta Garcia and Vanina X, finishing then in the overall standings in 28th position and ahead of a recovering 51 of Alessandro Cozzi and his teammate Eliseo Dono. Should still be leading the championship because even on a difficult day, they've still scored second place points.
Yeah, cracking stuff, and no shortage of drama in all three classes there. And whilst there'll be some that say, yeah, took the lead, the Porsche with that nerf for the AF Corsa car, probably forgetting that the Porsche had exactly the same happen to them just a little earlier. Great stuff for the overall. Almost lost the championship win with that run to the wall for RSGP at the end. That was almost what it took for SDA Racing to just grab the lead, but just a tenth of a second at the flag. Cracking stuff at the point where we had green flag racing. And by the way, congratulations to RSGP. They've been class all season.
They certainly have, and you know, they have good form elsewhere in other echelons of motor racing as well, single-seaters particularly. So the gap at the moment is 28 points. We will have to wait for the final classification later on today, but with only 26 remaining on the table, RSGP with a big enough lead to take the title. And now it becomes a scrap, as it kind of was going into this race for second position, with as many as 5 other teams separated by not a lot in LMP3.
You know, it's been a feature of this championship from the very start, bringing in teams to sports car racing for the first time, bringing in talent for the first time, bringing in those gentlemen and lady drivers into this sport for, well, in the case of Vanina X, the second time. But it's been a fabulous part of the storyline here to see them develop in terms of the speed and the understanding and the fault-free running that it takes to take a championship to the end, and in the case of RSGP, to take it early.
So the LMP3 podium will happen first. There's quite a queue up the steps that lead to the back of the podium. But first of all then, finishing in third position, the duo from the 87 CLX Motorsport Ligier, Alvise Rodella and Pierre-Alexandre Provost. Second place going to Roman Favre in the 29 car. A terrific drive from him, together with Louis Rousset. But here are the provisional champions. They've won today's race as well. What a cracking way, an ideal way to seal the title with a race win. RSGP's Hugo Schwarzer and Adrian David. Here's the national anthem of the winning team. And as the national anthem music fades out, the singing continued. I wonder whether they were going to be fading it back in again as the classic Radio 4 comedy panel show, but I'm sure that would have been slightly mismatched. But fair play to all the French voices. Hugo Schwarzer is German, of course, so doesn't necessarily know all of the words, but he was grinning from ear to ear as that was taking place. The RSGP gang who prepared 2 cars down at ground level. The other car, a difficult race to finish in 11th position eventually, and behind the top 2 in LMP3 Pro-Am. There are the trophies being held above the heads then of the, we think, 2025 champions in LMP3, this brand new category in the Michelin Le Mans Cup. So they are, well, they will be forever in the archives as the first ever champions of this sort of non-Pro-Am category.
That's Francois Baudin, by the way, one of the board members of the ACO. Of course, the club that it's at the core of LMM, who have arranged, or conceived and have organised the Le Mans Cup from the very beginning.
and the first of many champagne showers for the weekend. If you weren't around, by the way, for our earlier European Le Mans Series coverage, well worth telling you that tomorrow's Goodyear 4 Hours of Silverstone is going to be starting an hour earlier than originally planned and originally advertised. So it'll be an 11 o'clock start tomorrow rather than midday. That is because of the expected weather and the better weather window. So 11 till 3.
Well, we'll go down to Steph Wentworth with the GT3 winner, but more information about that change after this interview.
Now joined by the winners in GT3, it is the number 83 Iron Dames. Huge congratulations. It's been building up to this moment all season. Last time out it was a podium and now we're on the top step.
Yeah, super happy. Obviously, you know, we had a really good pace. Marina did an amazing job at the start of the race. She managed to keep it there, you know. So then I went there, I just have to hold the pace, no mistakes, nothing crazy. And we have it. We have the P1 that we've been waiting for all the season, so we're really happy.
Vanina started from pole as well and now finishing on the top step. It must feel amazing.
I just cannot believe it. From pole position to the win of the race, it's incredible. It was a little bit hectic still for my side with the LMP3s. There are always a little penalty here and there. So until the final lap, we didn't know if we were going to make it. And here we are, and the whole team and the Iron Dames really deserve it.
Congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
Fabulous stuff. The quick thing to add, by the way, to Johnny confirming the early start for tomorrow's ELMS race is if you are coming to Silverstone, please do with your tickets. And we see there the championship standings, and it's pretty close. Of course, there's 51 from the two Castle Racing cars and the Code Racing development car. Iron Dames still, are they not? They're not quite in it, are they? Here, I'm afraid they're not going to quite make the title. All of the fan-facing stuff, so the pit walk, the autograph session and the grid walk have all moved forward as well. So please keep an eye on information on the website and on social media if you're coming to Silverstone tomorrow and want to be part of that. Would not want you to miss that very special part of this. Here comes our podium for the LMP3 Pro Am. Already on the podium, the third place squad from Rinaldi Racing. So Griffin Peoples and Steve Parrow. Second place is the 28 car for 23 events, and that is Terence Woodward and James Winslow.
At the moment.
But to the top step right now, and that's the way we'll call it, it's the 49 high-class racing car of Thomas Kiefer and Gail Julien. Very cracking race from them.
Here's the national anthem. So the Danish national anthem for high-class racing, winners in LMP3 Pro-Am, and by far the best result for that particular car. But remember, we've not had either of those drivers in that car this season. Remains to be seen whether that will change again moving into the Portimao race. And the second place finish, so it's the best result for car 49 this year. It's also easily the best result for the 28 duo of James Winslow and Terence Woodward, because although Terence has always had the speed in the qualifying sessions, he hasn't had the luck then come race day later on a Saturday. Best result so far for car 28 is, I had that in my mind earlier on and now completely lost it. Let's have a look. Car 28 finished, well, with 7 points at the Road to Le Mans, so that was barely in the top 6. But non-finishes at Barcelona and Le Castellet and the second Road to Le Mans race. They've not been on the podium, so this is streets ahead and well-deserved.
I'm going to add another little public announcement here with thanks to Dangerous Dave, part of the FI Road Endurance Championship TV team. He's picked up a bit of information. Last night, you and I were part of the Tour de Force, raising funds for Sir Chris Hoy, previous European Le Mans Series champion. As we see the championship points here, 11 points in it for the LMP3 Pro Am, and it's the two Rinaldi racing cars ahead of Motorsport 98. £2.4 million raised so far for Tour de Force and Chris Hoy. Well done, sir.
Excellent effort with various events all around the country. Keep that up if we can. More reaction from Steph Wentworth.
Now joined by the winners in LMP3 Pro Am. A huge congratulations. It's the 49 high class racing. Thomas, putting it on pole earlier today, and you've converted it to the victory.
Yes, thank you very much. It's great to be here in Silverstone and to finish the race on P1. Feels very good. Was a hectic race in the beginning, but we could stay out of trouble, which was quite important. And so I could hand over the car to my quick teammate, and then yeah, he was flying, especially in the beginning of his stint. He really pulled a nice gap, and yeah, that's how we won the race in the end.
It's an incredible statement for you both to come here on the debut of you guys as teammates, win the race.
Yeah, I have to say what a great job from Thomas and the whole team. You know, as I said before, after qualifying, it was not an easy evening last night. We had to rebuild the car because the engine came close to blowing up, but we made up for it today. So thanks to everyone for the hard work, and yeah, as you said, what a statement.
Well done, congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, an excellent effort. Of course, Gaël Julien with plenty of form previously in other LMP3 cars, in other LMP3 championships. Will they stay together moving forward, maybe with an eye to 2026 and opportunities there? If you are planning to come to Silverstone, or at least join us online for the European Le Mans Series race tomorrow, Graham mentioned about the various places that you might want to head to for latest information on that. Well, the official website is EuropeanLeMansSeries.com, very easily found, frankly, all one word, EuropeanLeMansSeries.com, and on X you'll want at EuropeanLMS, at EuropeanLMS on X.com.
Check the Instagram page as well. That's often where most up-to-date information goes. Here we go. Great podium finish for the Biogas Motorsports crew. I think one of their best results ever.
Should be. Yeah, I would have imagined so. Second place then going to Alessandro Cozzi, despite that late contact and spin, together with Eliseo Dono. But here are the Iron Dames completing the set, the grand slam, if you like, of ACO rules category wins.
Layer wins. They've not taken a win at the Asian Le Mans Series, but at every level, they are the only team in history to have done it, which is remarkable.
Yeah. And now we're going to hear the national anthem of the winning team on the top step of the podium here at Silverstone. It's a first win of the season in Michelin Le Mans Cup for the Iron Dames.
It's a first win ever for the Iron Dames for the Le Mans Cup.
In this category, okay.
Yep. Yeah, ever.
Of course it is, as we've stipulated many times. But it is the first of the season as well. And I wonder whether that might be the first of a couple of good success stories this weekend alone.
Well,
the Iron Dames
also on pole position in GT3 for the European Le Mans, LMGT3 for the European Le Mans Series tomorrow. Could be quite the weekend.
Could, yeah. It's the best place to be starting, with surely Celia Martin in from the start to do her 90 minutes from 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, not 12, 11 o'clock. And further updates about how the rest of the morning is going to be unfolding. Everything moved forward an hour, effectively. So if you were going to get here for 10 o'clock, get here for 9 o'clock. And if you're going to get here for 9 o'clock, get here for 8 o'clock. Just camp out, ideally.
And come up quick for the weather. It doesn't look like it's going to be particularly pleasant as we get deeper into this race, but there's plenty of shelter here and plenty of bonhomie.
Indeed so. And as Paul Truswell, who's been on the PA this weekend with Martin Haven and Alan Hyde, has often said to me before, there's no such thing as bad weather, just poor clothing. So bring a big coat and some waterproof trousers and you will be fine. Good pair of boots maybe for some walking around Silverstone. Well, a delight to call all sorts of action for the first time in a long time here at the home of British Motorsport, Silverstone. Shall we do it all again tomorrow as well for the Goodyear 4 hours of Silverstone? Our build-up will start local time at 10:35 and we will start the race at 11 through till 3 p.m. with all the podiums featuring after that as well. Steph Wentworth has been a trooper throughout the course of the day, bringing us news from the pit lane. Thanks, Graham, for your company. I really do mean that. From Johnny Palmer, we're signing off. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.